A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
And now, the Goldbergs. The Goldbergs, as well as Sylvia Allison's father, have tried in more than one way to prevent Sammy's marriage to the girl. With the past in mind, nothing seems more certain to outsiders than the fact that such a marriage will mean a life of unhappiness for the boy and the girl. But Sammy believes himself in love with the girl. And Sylvia? Well, Sylvia's changing. Under the influence of Dr. Cater, she's become something a little different from what she once was. And the questions stand as follows. Has the psychiatrist helped Sylvia and made Sammy worse? Has he made both cases worse, or will Sammy marry the girl and put an end to whatever help is being offered? We get one of the answers right now.
Molly? Yes, dear? Where are you? Where am I? Where should I be? I'm here, dear. Rosalie, go see what Papa wants.
Papa wants you. You, Molly.
So I'm here, darling. Papa wants me. Rosalie, throw an eye in the pot and put a little light in the kitchen. All right.
Allison wants to speak to you.
Yes? Oh, he's back from the doctor?
Yes.
No.
No, nothing. He wants to talk to you.
And so I'm here, darling. Did he say a word to you?
Not yet. He wants to talk to both of us.
Oh, he talked to both of us, so I'm here, dear. So where is he?
He's coming.
He's talking to Sammy?
And Sylvia, both.
Oh. So evidently Dr. Cater spoke already to him.
You want me to set the table, Mom?
Yes, of course I want to.
Is Sammy going to sit at the table?
Well, we'll ask him. We'll see. I think he should rest better. Go ask him, darling.
I won't, Mom. When he comes in, you ask him.
Why can't you ask him?
All right, so I'll ask him. You ask him, I ask him, he asks him. So I'll ask him. Sammy's a little on the high string today.
I'm not afraid of Sammy's high string. It's about time we put him on his low string already.
He's not well, Pa.
Pampering him and giving in to him is not going to make him any better, regardless of what Dr. Cater may say or think. Regardless. Allison? Come in, Allison.
Come in. Rosalie, darling, so don't stand. Set the table, dear.
All right.
Put with spoons, with little spoons or with big spoons?
I'll take them both.
We'll have soup. Yes, soup spoons, dear.
We are both very anxious to know what Dr. Cater said to you, Allison.
Well, why don't you wait till Miss Allison sits down? Sit down, Miss Allison, please.
Thank you. What Sammy said to me, Jake, is much more important than what Dr. Cater said to me. Maybe because I can understand Sammy. Sammy talks to me in my own language. Dr. Cater has for me a very strange language.
What did Sammy say, Miss Allison?
Do you know that Sammy wants to marry Sylvia? The boy is sick and he doesn't know what he's doing or saying. That's what Dr. Cater thinks. He also thinks that Sylvia should not be taken away. She should stay. Allison? All right, Jake. I know it's not convincing. That's the wrong word. It's not a question of convince. I know. I came here to take Sylvia home. I assure you. Believe me, for no other reason. Our decision about this marriage has already been decided. You don't want them married. I don't want to force it on you. I'm taking Sylvia home because, well, maybe after Sylvia is gone, Sammy will be able to pull himself together. Dr. Cater doesn't think so. Take that chance, Allison. What do you think, Mrs. Goldberg?
May I say what I think, Jake?
If you have anything to say, say it.
Well, I think Dr. Cater knows what he's doing.
That's a matter of opinion, and I differ.
Miss Allison, didn't Dr. Cater say he has to cut the cords and cut the bonds and cut the ties that bind Sylvia and Sammy?
Molly, that's not the...
Didn't he say that unhappiness brings people closer together than happiness?
Molly, that is...
Didn't he give you to understand that mere separation and distance wouldn't keep Sammy and Sylvia apart? What they did to each other, what they suffered and struggled with, how they hated and loved each other, keeps them together.
I want an end to this, Allison. All right, Jake. So do I.
I'm sorry to say this to you, Mr. Allison. After all, you are Sylvia's father, but you know that I don't want this marriage neither. You know that. But just taking Sylvia home, if you could, wouldn't put an end to it. But just more and more of the same beginning. If you excuse me for saying so, Mr. Allison, but I don't know, you and Jake, you both act as if Sammy and Sylvia were two business people who had a contract. And now that all they had to do was cancel it. You can't cancel human relations, Miss Allison.
Can somebody help Sammy into the house?
I'll go.
Go, Jake. I'm sorry, Miss Allison.
Sylvia, come here.
I'll go to see to my supper. Excuse me.
Sylvia, I want you to go upstairs and get your things together.
Did Dr. Cater say I should leave?
Whether he did or not, that has nothing to do with it.
Did he?
Did he what?
Did he say I should go away?
When you're sick, I'll consult a doctor. You're well enough for me to tell you what to do. I'm your father, not Dr. Cater.
He told you not to take me home, didn't he?
You're coming home with me.
You can't make me. What are you going to do? Tie me up and drag me home? If I don't want to go, you can't make me. You didn't learn anything down in South Carolina, did you? You still think every time you raise your voice, the whole world trembles. Well, it doesn't. You're a failure as a father, no matter how successful you've been in other things. And I'm the failure. What I am, what I did, and what I feel. I don't have any love or respect for you. I don't think about you at all. I don't care what you think. I'll stay where I want to stay and go where I want to go. Do you hear?
Be careful, Sammy. I'm all right.
Let me sit down here. I'm not going upstairs.
How does it feel, dear?
Fine, Mom.
The sun was good. Will you eat at the table, Sammy?
Yes.
Rosalie, set an extra plate for Sammy. What I do?
What's the matter, Sylvia?
We're going home, Sammy.
Sylvia's not going, Mr. Allison.
Sammy!
Sylvia is not going. I'm afraid, Mr. Allison, you don't realize your position. Sylvia's old enough to do as she feels like.
I'm afraid, Sammy, you don't realize your position. You know how much I like you, how much I respect you, how much I wanted you to be my son-in-law. But it's been decided already. It's best for all of us.
You're a fine collection of hypocrites. You all can find a million ways of getting what you want by pretending to do it for other people. Well, Sylvia and I are getting married. Not next year, next month, or next week, but tomorrow or the next day. And nothing any of you say or do will stop us. You thought you could sick that brain doctor on us and confuse us, didn't you? Well, I'm afraid that's a failure, too. We're getting married.
No, Sam. No.
Why? Because my mother scared you into promising her that you wouldn't marry me? That doesn't bind any of us. And you, Mr. Allison, might as well stay for the wedding now that you're here.
No.
Why not? Are you afraid of what these people will do? Are you afraid they'll get that nut doctor to stop us?
I'm not afraid of anyone, Sammy.
Then why can't we get married? What's the reason? Who's the reason?
The surprise of Sylvia's answer goes from face to face. But on Sammy's, there's a burn of humiliation, and then slowly the blood leaves and paleness grows there. Sylvia can't look at it. And suddenly she turns and runs out of the house. Her gaze is distracted as if she were hearing an inner voice, as if somewhere unseen, a stranger were talking to her at the same time.
Countdown for blast off. X minus 5, 4, 3, 2, X minus 1, fire. far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future. Adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds.
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, The Parade, by George Lefferts.
You are Mr. Sid Ryan?
The same.
My name is Lucia. I'm a Martian.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. What was that again?
A Martian.
A Martian, huh? As in Orson Welles?
Precisely.
I'm a Rotarian myself. Sit down.
Thank you.
And now that we've had our little joke, Mr. Lucia, what can Publicity Associates do for you?
It has been my observation that advertising and publicity are the very backbone of earthly civilization.
Spoken like a true Martian, Mr. Lucia. Now, if you'll tell me the name of the client.
The client, of course, will be the Martian.
You don't give up, do you?
Give up?
The gag, I mean. Oliver.
Oh, yes, Mr. Ryan?
This is Mr. Lucia.
How do you do,
Mr. Lucia
George?
claims to be a Martian. Take him outside, will you, Oliver? Get the name of the sanatorium he escaped from and tell them to bring the butterfly net.
Wait, sir. I'm happy to see, Mr. Ryan, that my telling you I'm a Martian has approximately the effect I supposed it would have. I believe we can do business. I have here the cash retainer for $5,000.
Sit down, Mr. Lucia. Oliver, get the client a cigar.
Yes, sir.
No, the other box,
Thank you, no.
Well, now, what can I do for you, sir?
I wish you to manage a publicity campaign. A very large, a very important campaign.
Is the product established, or is it something brand new?
Oh, something quite new. Now, what would you judge to be the most effective type of campaign?
Well, if the client has a lot of dough to throw around, a suspense campaign is best. First, you place ads in the paper saying, watch this space. Then, about a week later, you run an ad saying XYZ or PDQ, and you get people guessing what it means. Then, finally, when you've teased them enough, you bust loose and unveil the product.
Excellent. Very well, sir. We shall conduct a suspense campaign.
Of course, in this kind of campaign, secrecy is very important. Once the name of the product leaks out, it spreads like wildfire, and the whole campaign is kerfluffle.
Yes, quite so. Utmost secrecy.
That's right. You realize, of course, these things cost like crazy.
Would, say, $1 million cover the expense?
Come again?
I said, would $1 million cover it?
Yes, I imagine. You did say $1 million.
I understood that you had handled some very large accounts. Of course, if this is too big...
Oh, not at all. As a matter of fact, I seldom touch anything less. Right, Oliver?
Huh? Oh, of course. That's right, Mr. Ryan. Absolutely right.
Good. You will begin, then, by saturating the newspapers, the radio, streetcars, with a very simple statement.
What's that?
I shall write it for you.
The Martians are coming. Say, that's not a bad teaser. Got that, Oliver?
Yes, sir.
The next ad will read, June 1st is Martian Day.
June 1st is Martian Day.
What happens on June 1st?
The parade takes place.
What parade?
I wish you to arrange a parade up Fifth Avenue.
You mean like the Macy parade?
Exactly. Except that the theme will be the world of tomorrow. The Martian world. My client would like it to be a gay affair. Balloons, clowns, pennants, pretty drum majorettes.
Say, that sounds terrific. I might be able to interest the department stores in a tie-in.
The parade will climax the campaign. On June 1st, the product will be unveiled.
Good enough. By the way, Mr. Lucia, just what is the product? What are we selling?
Oh, no, Mr. Ryan. Secrecy, remember.
Oh, but after
all will be revealed to you in good time, Mr. Ryan. For the moment, let us say we are selling a concept.
Concept?
Precisely. The concept of invasion from Mars.
Benny Marcus, please.
This is Benny.
Benny, this is Sid Ryan over at Publicity Associates. Listen, Benny, how you fix for midgets?
I got midgets.
Fine. I need 40 midgets for a parade. 40. June 1st. And listen, Benny, I want them dressed in little spacesuits.
What?
You know, like men from Mars, okay?
Midgets.
And I want some movie extras, maybe 50 of them. Also rigged up like men from Mars. Make them look gruesome. Got that?
Gruesome.
Also, I need some horses with pretty girls on top of them. Maybe you can get that bunch from Maroney's Traveling Circus. The ones we booked for the Fireman's Parade in Albany last year.
Oh, try, Sid.
And never mind the expense. Just get me the talent, okay? I gotta hang up now. Call me back, Benny. How you doing, Oliver?
Oh, fine, Mr. Ryan, just fine. We got full-page ads in all the dailies and 10-second spot announcements on every local station. But it's costing a fortune.
The more it costs, the bigger our percentage. Spend like you were going to the electric chair, Oliver.
Yes, sir. How you making out on the parade?
If it comes off, it'll be the biggest thing since Barnum invented the midget. I've got Macy's, gimbals, and sacks to contribute floats. Everything is built around the Martian theme, see? Even horses will have long feelers attached to them and funny-looking extra legs. It'll be sensational.
Oh, yeah, it sounds fine, only...
Only what?
Oh, Mr. Ryan, we don't even know what we're selling.
Oliver, my boy, do you think old Sid Ryan has been sitting here spending all this moolah and not putting two and two together?
You mean you know who Lucia represents?
Just by accident, understand? I have learned that Century Pictures is making a big new epic. A space opera entitled Invasion from Mars. Get it?
Oh, I begin to see.
Also, by mere coincidence, it happens to be the premiere sometime around June 1st. You follow me?
But, Mr. Ryan, Century has an exclusive contract with New Features Syndicate for all that publicity.
Suppose Century Pictures doesn't like the way New Features is handling their stuff. They want to get out of the contract, but New Features says no. So they have to get around the contract. A man named Lucia, client unknown, starts publicizing the Martian invasion. Need I go further?
Oh, I get it, Mr. Ryan. Gee, I suppose I should have thought of that.
No, Oliver, that's what I like about you. You're so innocent. Let me talk to Commissioner Patrick, please. Sid Ryan.
Hello?
Commish, Sid Ryan.
Oh, it's you. Well, what is it this time? If you want to drop a man off the Empire State Building into a teacup full of water, the answer is no. Also, we are not arresting any fan dancers.
You know I don't handle fan dances. I want a permit for a parade, June 1st, 5th Avenue. It's a Sunday. There's no traffic.
Oh, come now. Look, Ryan.
Macy's gets a permit. Gimbals gets a permit. The American Legion gets a permit. The Sons of Erin march every time Morton Downey sings the Wearing the Green. Don't give me a hard time, Patrick. This is too big. I have the 5th Avenue Merchants Association behind me.
Okay, Ryan. Fill out the forms. I'll pass them along to the license commissioner.
That's my boy.
Oh, by the way, what's the occasion?
Oh, don't you read the papers, Patrick? June 1st is Martian Day.
Well, Mr. Ryan, how is the campaign going?
Like fire, Mr. Lucia, like fire. Everybody and his brother is going along with the gag. Yesterday, we distributed 50,000 Martian hats to school kids. I even arranged for Commissioner Patrick to accept a $50,000 check for the Policeman's Benevolent Fund from the man from Mars. I understand Century Pictures spent over $1 million making that space opera.
I beg pardon?
Oh, come, Mr. Lucia. Sid Ryan wasn't born yesterday, you know. I know who our client is, even if you don't admit it.
You do?
Always thinking that's me.
Well, as long as you know, let's keep it to ourselves, shall we, Mr. Ryan? As you once remarked, when these things leak out, it destroys the surprise and ruins the effectiveness of the campaign.
Speaking to you from our portable transmitter atop the reviewing stand for the much-heralded Martian Parade on Fifth Avenue. It's a beautiful sunlit day here in New York. Perfect day for a parade. And the streets are packed with thousands of spectators, all eager to find out what this is all about. There's an air of shrill expectancy.
Come over here!
Okay, come all right. I just had word from Sol Brown at the Central Park Mall that the Martians have landed from big pink balloons. And while we're waiting here for the arrival of the parade, we brought some people up to our microphone to tell you their reactions to this spectacular affair. What's your name, madam? A little louder, please.
Miss Ada Shackley.
And where are you from, Mrs. Shackley?
Columbus, Ohio.
I see. And I see you have your family with you. Two little curly-headed boys. Are you in New York for your vacation?
Yeah, we came for the Shriners Convention with their daddy.
Well, what do you think of Martian Day, Mrs. Shackley?
Well, it all seems very strange to me, but the boys have been pestering me to watch it, so we've been standing here for 2 hours. I can't make head or tail of it.
Well, neither can a lot of other people, Mrs. Shackley, but judging by the thousands here already, there's a lot of curiosity.
Curiosity killed the cat.
Let's hope not. Thank you, Mrs. Shackley. And now here they come, ladies and gentlemen. The first units of the big Martian Parade, swinging down Fifth Avenue. Fanfare, colored streamers, music, confetti, floats, all this connected with the Mardi Gras. Let's listen to the band for a minute. Here in the vanguard, the whole troop of little midgets in weird-looking pink and blue spacesuits, carrying rude Goldberg weapons with signs painted on them. I can read one which says Atomic Blaster. Another has a placard reading, "We're marching through Georgia." And here come the clowns, laughing and falling all over each other. They're giving free sugar candy to the kids along the way. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there's a happy, laughing crowd along Fifth Avenue today. A true reflection of the great sense of humor and good nature that makes America the place it is. Why, only... What's this? The crowd's murmuring now. They've fallen somewhat silent. There's something coming. I'll try to get it for you. What? Ladies and gentlemen, here comes the Martian contingent. This is promised as the climax of the show. And now a great hush has fallen over the crowd. Quite a sight to see these thousands of people standing here expectantly, hearing only the great regular sigh of their mass breathing. Now here they come, ladies and gentlemen. The Martians, marching in booted, helmeted ranks, row after row of them. This is an impressive sight, ladies and gentlemen. And around a serious contrast to the rest of the joyous slapstick parade we've been witnessing up and now. There are perhaps 200 tall, broad-chested men dressed in metallic gray spacesuits with thick glass visors drawn across their faces. Each one's holding an ominous-looking ray gun at the ready position. They're marching in absolute silence, keeping step perfectly as though some neat, unspoken command is marking time for them. Even the children are awed by the unexpected, warlike realism of the Martian Legion. And now the first ranks of the Martians move past us down Fifth Avenue toward the reviewing stands at the square. No one moves. There. A woman, ladies and gentlemen, just dashed out into the street. For what reason, I don't know. She just slipped through the police cordon somehow. They're after her now, but she's already reached the ranks of the marchers, and she's trying to lift the visor of one of the Martian spacesuits. Wait. She's fallen. She screamed and then fell forward in a dead faint. The Martian column keeps right on coming. Unless they break ranks, they're going to trample us. No. The policemen have got her now. They're dragging her away, out of the way. Trying to revive her now. What's that? All sorts of rumors have begun filtering back through the crowd. Some are even whispering that the woman's dead. We don't know yet, but whatever's happened, the incident seems to have cast a slight shadow over the mood of the crowd. The carefree holiday air seems to have vanished. The crowd's stirring uneasily, a little disturbed at what we've just seen. Nothing to be alarmed at, however. It just seems a shame that anything like this should happen to spoil our enjoyment of the Martian parade.
Mr. Ryan, did you see that? A woman fainted. She ran out into the street to get a close look at the Martians, then she screamed and fainted dead away.
I'm well aware of that, Oliver, since I paid her $50 to do it.
What?
The dramatic moment, Oliver. The stock and trade of the good publicity man. Relax.
Holy smokes, you sure think of everything.
For my share of this deal, roughly $100,000, I can afford to think of everything. Shut the window.
Oh, okay, but don't you want to see the finish?
We'll get down to the reviewing stand for the finish. Right now, I want to make a phone call. By the way, where's Lucia?
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Well, close the window, Oliver.
Well, Oh, okay, Mr. Ryan.
Market Talent Agency.
Benny, this is Sid Ryan.
Oh, say, listen, Sid, I was going to call you. I'm awful sorry about those Martians.
What do you mean, sorry? They're terrific.
No, don't joke, Sid. I mean it.
Well, I mean it, too. They're great, great.
Are you in a bag?
Never felt better.
You mean it, don't you?
Of course I mean it. What is this?
There are Martians in the parade?
About 150. Of course, I only ordered 50, but
Sid.
under the circumstances...
Sid.
What is it?
Sid, don't you know I couldn't get you a single movie extra? There's a studio strike in New York.
Huh? Wait a minute. Where'd these guys come from if you didn't hire them?
I don't know.
Hold on. Oliver.
Oh, yes, Mr. Ryan?
Did you hire those Martians?
Well, no, sir. I didn't...
Benny, this is on the level, isn't it?
Oh, Sid,
Okay, Benny, I'll call you back.
What's the matter, Mr. Ryan?
I don't know. Just don't know. Wonder if Lucia... What's Century Pictures number?
Tremaine 4, 1000.
Tremaine 4, 1000.
Century Pictures, the studio of the stars.
Give me Marty Sanford, your publicity director.
One moment, please. Sanford.
Marty, this is Sid Ryan.
Oh, hello, Sid. How's it
Fine. Listen, Marty, this is dead serious. On the level, get it?
What's wrong?
I've got to locate Lucia.
Lou who?
Lucia, come on now, Marty. This is life and death. The guy you sent over to hire me for the invasion picture.
I haven't heard of a guy named Lucia. And, what invasion picture?
Invasion from Mars, the space opera.
Are you batty?
Marty.
The picture was shelved last month.
What?
Sure, back in the can. The big shots decided you can't sell a Martian invasion to the American public. It's too incredible, Sid. Who'd ever believe it could really happen? Now, all agree.
Mother in heaven.
What is it, Mr. Ryan? You look terrible.
It's too fantastic.
Mr. Ryan, is something wrong?
Open that window. I want another look at those Martians. Look at them. Oliver, you were in the Army. Could 150 movie extras learn to march like that in, say, 24 hours?
No. Not in 24 days, Mr. Ryan.
Not a second hesitation. Not one out of step. Look at the way they carry those ray guns at the ready. The only other time I've seen troops march like that was on a film of the Nazi SS troops marching through the streets of Paris.
Mr. Ryan.
Oliver, get down there. Find that woman who painted. Her name's Gloria Montez. Get her up here. Make it fast.
Mr. Ryan, I can't get much sense out of her.
Stay away from me.
Okay, Gloria. You need to cut out the act and relax. It's me, Sid Ryan. Gloria, settle down. Baby, it's me, Sid.
It's awful. It's so big green eyes and the feelings like a cat's thing.
Baby, snap out of it. Listen, what happened down there? You ran out and screamed like I told you, but the fainting, that wasn't in the act.
Go away, please. Go away.
Just one question, baby. Inside that helmet, what did you see?
Anything out of her, Mr. Ryan, she needs a doctor.
Okay, Oliver. I've heard enough anyway. You take care of Gloria. Get her a drink.
Where are you going?
To see the commissioner. You gotta stop this parade before things begin to happen.
Okay, Ryan, what's the beef?
Listen, Patrick, I don't know what it is, see, but something's wrong. You've got to stop that parade.
I suppose you'd like the riot squad. That would get you a front-page spread on every paper in town. Now, look, Ryan, I've got no time for your cheap publicity gags. I'm a busy man.
Listen, I'm trying to tell you I don't know where those Martians came from, who they are, anything about them.
Oh, Ryan, I'm wise to your tricks. Now, if you let the sergeant show you out...
You won't do it, huh? An honest citizen appeals for protection and you refuse?
I most emphatically do. Now, beat it.
All right, Patrick. I'll go right to the mayor's office. I'll have you busted, flattered, and the fried egg.
Go ahead. I'm sure His Honor will be glad to toss you out on that phony nickel-plated skull of yours.
You heard me, Ryan. You can't see the man.
Adolf, please. This isn't a gag. I don't want publicity. All I want to do is maybe prevent something horrible from happening.
In case you don't know it, wise guy, something horrible is already happening. A couple of hundred little kids are in the hospital with tomaine poisoning from that phony Martian candy you passed out.
What?
Or didn't you know?
I did. We've got to stop that parade.
Sure, you'd like nothing better than to start a panic now. Maybe a few hundred people get trampled to death. Think of the newspaper's face. That'd get you and your phony plot.
I won't stand for this, Adolf. This may be a matter of life and death.
Get out of here quick. It'll be your death. Go on, beat it. Get out. You and your publicity stunts make me sick to my stomach.
Oliver, where are you? Oliver!
It is useless to scream at him, Mr. Ryan. Your friend is quite dead.
Lucia.
He wanted to run to the police with some story about a Martian invasion. I found it necessary to restrain him.
Restrain him, you stinking murderer!
Now, Mr. Ryan, collect yourself. After all our planning, it wouldn't do to have everything spoiled now, would it?
Lucia, I'll start talking and talk fast, because when you get through, I'm going to take you apart piece by piece. What's this all about?
Surely you know, Mr. Ryan. After all, you've been publicizing it for months. You see, before colonizing your planet, the Martian government sent some of us as scouts in advance, disguised as Earthmen, of course, to study your habits, your weaknesses. We found that the people on Earth are predominantly conditioned by advertising and publicity. And so we conceived the idea of treating our entire invasion as a vast publicity stunt. Clever, yes? After all, Mr. Ryan, who would suspect an invader who advertised his invasion in the newspaper, invited the public to a surprise attack, and spent millions publicizing his plans?
Holy jumping.
You've done very well, you see.
Then there was no product.
But there is a product. The product is death.
What are you trying, Lucia?
We Martians are a humane people, Mr. Ryan. We do not like to destroy thousands where a few hundred will suffice. In exactly 2 minutes, our troops will treat the world to a spectacle of death, which will bring the rest of your planet to its knees in horror. Nations will clamor to surrender.
Perhaps, Mr. Lucia, but not if I can help.
Go!
Yes, please?
Operator, this is Mr. Ryan. Get me the field telephone on the reviewing stand of the Martian Day Parade. Hurry.
Anyone in particular?
Just hurry.
Reviewing stand. Hello?
Get me Commissioner Patrick.
Hello?
Hello.
You have to talk louder.
I want Commissioner Patrick. Patrick!
Wait a minute. Things are quieting down. Hey, what was that you wanted?
This is Ryan. I have to talk to the commissioner. It's a matter of life and death.
Oh, you can't talk to him now. The chief Martian is presenting the PBA check to him. The Martians are going to fire a salute.
Listen, you gotta stop him.
What?
Stop him!
Sorry, Mr. Ryan, I can't.
You idiot! The worst is going. No, operator. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters now.
Tonight by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Parade, written by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were Joseph Curtin as Ryan, Barry Kroger as Luchar, Alexander Scourby as Ron Heilman, music by Albert Behrman. X-1 was produced by Van Woodward and directed by Edward King. Fred Collins speaking. X-1 is an NBC Radio Network production. And now, next week, The Cave of the Night. The gripping story of the first man to pilot an Earth satellite beyond the reach of gravitational pull. And of what happened when a watching world learned that something had gone wrong. That he could never return. That he was doomed to die a lingering death in the arching blackness of the sky. The Cave of Night. Hear it next week at X-1. Did you ever stop to realize that 4 American coins show us the importance of elections? The first one is the Washington Quarter. It was George Washington who reminded us that on the unity of our government depends our independence, our peace at home and abroad, our safety, prosperity, and our freedom. The second coin is the Jefferson nickel. It was Thomas Jefferson who said, "No government can continue good but under the control of the people." The third coin is a penny, bearing the likeness of Abraham Lincoln, who said, "Among free men, there can be no successful appeal from the ballot to the bullet." And finally, the Roosevelt dime reminds us of something Franklin D. Roosevelt once said. Every man and every woman in this nation, regardless of party, who have the right to register and to vote, and the opportunity to register and to vote, have also the sacred obligation to register and to vote. These 4 Americans, by recognizing the importance of elections, added another page to your political history.
In just a moment, X-1. But first, how does one man get himself into so many impossible situations? This is a question you'll probably ask yourself tomorrow night when you follow another hilarious adventure of Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve. Yes, Gildy's eye for the ladies and his impulsive temperament managed to entangle him in a web of riotous circumstances. Join the romantic water commissioner, his neighbors, Judge Hooker, Mr. Peavy, and all the loyal Gildersleeve household as they romp through another episode of The Great Gildersleeve tomorrow night. And now stay tuned for X-1 on NBC.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight's story, The Cave of Night, by James E. Gunn.
Oh, you want a level, Charlie? Okay. Though yet of Hamlet, our dear brothers, death the memory be... Anyway, how's it, okay? Okay. Check recording. I may go over a half hour. Make sure they've got another reel of tape ready, okay? All right, Look, Bill, I've just put the segments of tape together for the next week's show. I'm going to record my narrations, and we'll listen to it together tomorrow. I know this is unusual, but you're the producer, and I don't want you out on a limb that may be sawed off behind us. This week's show is liable to either win us every award from the Peabody to the Pulitzer Prize, or maybe put the network out of business. Okay, we start with the standard opening. Behind the world, etc., 40 seconds. This is Harry Anders, your editor. At 8 o'clock, after the sun has set and the sky is darkening, look up. There's a man up there where no man has ever been. He is lost in the cave of night.
And the fuel tank's empty. Receiver broken. Transmitting and clear. Anyone picking this up, anyone. This is Rev McMillan calling. Notify Goddard Rock, New Mexico. No way to get back.
There's a man up there where no man has ever been. He is lost in the cave of night. We all know that phrase now, the cave of night.
It was written by a poet disguised in the cynical hide of a newspaper rewrite man. But it stuck. It caught the world and held it like a butterfly pinned to a board. It started with a ham, an amateur radio operator, in Davenport, Iowa. All right, Eddie. Roll the first tape in here. It's marked.
Am I too close? I was up in the attic. I usually have a talk with WG73. He's in Buenos Aires. We play chess. Well, there was some kind of interference. And then all of a sudden I heard this voice. I record most of my listening anyway, so I had the tape machine running. After I heard it, I called civil defense. That's what we're supposed to.
Look, Bill, I haven't done the final editing on these tapes, so don't worry if they're a little rough. Down out of the night, flung from the darkness, came these words, the first of so many that electrified the world.
Notify Goddard Rock, New Mexico. No way to get back. No way to get back. I'm stuck up here. No way to get down.
What does it take to catch the pity of the world? A man wedged underground in Kentucky. A little girl in the bottom of a well. Somebody alive, waiting for rescue, with the days of his life numbered. Somebody somewhere waiting for us to get him out. The story broke in this morning's papers. Orbiting 1,000 miles above our heads was a man, an officer of the United States Air Force in a fuelless spaceship. We're recording at the desk of Mike Bayless, senior night editor of the Continental Press National Wire.
Hey, you always get a reaction like this. I remember the Floyd Collins story in the 20s. Fellow trapped in that cave in Kentucky, remember?
Oh, sure.
And the whole country hanging on to see if he could get out. Then there was that little girl stuck in the well. Kathy Fiskus?
Yeah.
We pulled all those stories out and put them on the wire for background. But this hit bigger. We got the first lead from an Air Force handout in New Mexico. They just said an experimental rocket failed to return to base. But by that time, the cat was out of the bag. Ham operators picked up those messages from Boston to Fairbanks, Alaska.
Mr. Bayless, you first used the phrase, the cave of night, didn't you?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you got to get a little purple on a thing like this. People eat it up. You can't spread it on too thick. Anyway, I was lost in a cave once when I was a kid in upstate New York. I waited around for a couple of hours in the dark until they came for me. It kind of reminded me of that.
It reminded the world of terrors at night, of struggling awake through nightmares. The fears of loneliness, darkness, falling, suffocation, thirst. It reminded me of Rev McMillan. Perhaps I have an advantage over all the other reporters for newspapers and radio and television because I knew Rev McMillan. I knew him in college and in the Air Force. I knew that he was testing rocket-powered craft at Goddard, but I didn't know they were so close to space. No one knew, till those messages of desperation crackled down through the atmosphere. I remembered Rev when I saw those headlines that morning. Straight black hair, Clark Gable ears, a reckless grin. He ate well, reveled in expert jazz and Mozart opera, and he talked incessantly. His southern speech was no drawl. There was too much to say. And now he was alone. And soon all that might be extinguished. The men from the radio newsrooms rushed to Goddard Rocket Base armed with miniature tape recorders.
Gentlemen, I'm Colonel Arthur J. Hannigan, Information Officer for Goddard Rocket Base. And I'm authorized to issue the following statement. First Lieutenant Reverty L. McMillan, United States Air Force pilot, Experimental Rocket Division, took off from Goddard Base at 22:34 Rocky Mountain time. His craft, the XR-37 Mark II, a hydrazine nitric three-stage rocket. I'm sorry I can't describe it, boys. Classified. Well, in order to maintain orbit, the motors were pulsed for 1 second every 15 seconds elapsed time. After 3 minutes, the exhaust was seen by ground spectroscope observation to flare for half a minute. His fuel supply is exhausted. The craft has reached sustaining orbital speed.
Well, what does that mean, Colonel?
He's out of gas. He can't get down.
The first mobilization was of the scientific brains massed at Goddard. Few of them knew Rev. Brains at a research project are usually carefully sorted out and salted away from the distractions of the outside world. They designed, they invented, they calibrated and theorized. But they didn't know the short, stocky man with a lopsided grin who rode the fruit of their labor up and out, and now circled the world of his birth, with time ticking out. I covered the hearings in Washington for the network newsroom. I flew down from New York, and the stewardess came out every few minutes to tell the passengers the latest news. She called him Rev, although she never knew him, and once I thought I saw a tear. The hearing was before the subcommittee of the Senate Committee on Military Affairs. Presiding, Senator Alan J. Haggister of Kentucky.
All right, General Finch. You've made the technical situation fairly comprehensive, even to an old canebrake redneck hillbilly like myself.
I have tried to make the gravity of the situation apparent, sir.
It appears to me, General, that the sacred life of a human being created in the image of his maker is in danger. It's no light thing to be thrown away like some guinea pig. If that ship wasn't safe, if that poor man up there in the cave of night is to die, somebody is responsible. Isn't that right, General?
Sir, a manned rocket was sent up because of one simple fact. It takes a computer of tremendous versatility and capacity to operate a Harrison-Munch reactor engine. A computer of infinite complexity.
And I ask you, General, I put a question to you. Why was such a computer not designed?
It has been designed, sir. It was designed 500,000 years ago. There is only one mechanism competent to handle those controls, sir. That is the human brain.
All right. I turn now to my second question, General, and I ask it not only for myself and my colleagues on this committee, but for 170 million Americans listening on the radio, watching on television. With that man up there living out his last days, why was it not possible to send a ship up after him? Why was there no second ship built?
For one reason, Senator, money. The appropriation for rocket research fell short by 12% of the amount needed even to build one vessel. Oh, frankly, gentlemen, the deficiency was made up by cutting corners and diverting funds from other projects.
That is not the point, General. There's a man up there who's going to die.
With the limited funds you gave us, we've done what we set out to do. We've demonstrated that space flight is possible, that a space platform is feasible. If there is any inefficiency, if there is any blame for what has happened, it lies at the door of those who lack the confidence and the courage and ability of their countrymen to fight free of Earth to their greatest glory. Senator, how did you vote on that?
This is Harry Anders in the gallery of the Washington National Cathedral. This is a special prayer service called by the Dean of the Cathedral for the safety of Lieutenant McMillan and for the success of the recently announced rescue plan. The church is filled. There's a sprinkling of high Navy, Army, and Air Force uniforms. I see General Finch in the second row, next to the Secretary of the Air Force and the newly appointed Undersecretary of Defense, Mr. Winokur. Prominently displayed in the center aisle, below the ornate railing separating the pews from the altar, is the small model of Macmillan's ship. One by one now, the congregation is filing past, dropping checks, bills. I saw one child drop in 12 pennies, one by one. All contributions are to be used to defray the cost of the rescue effort. The congregation is now kneeling to pray. A moment of silent prayer will follow for the safety and rescue of Lieutenant McMillan. $1 billion was raised in 1 week from voluntary contributions. Another $1.5 billion was appropriated unanimously by Congress. The race began. Would the rescue party reach the ship in time? Of course, we didn't know then. And daily we listened to the voice of the man we hoped to buy back from death. Now, look, Bill, on these McMillan broadcast tapes, don't let some ignorant engineering vice president holler because it's not broadcast quality. Believe me, I knew McMillan. There's more of that wild Texan in these tapes than in any hi-fi super-frequency response studio recordings. Just listen. You'll see what I mean.
I've been staring out the portholes. I never tire of it. Through the window at the right, I see a black velvet curtain with a strong light behind it. There are pinpoint holes in the curtain, and the light shines through, not winking the way stars do, but steady. There's no air up here. That's the reason. My oxygen is holding out better than I expected. By my figures, it should last 27 days more. I shouldn't use so much of it talking all the time, but it's hard to stop. Talking, I feel as if I was still in touch with the Earth. Still one of you. Even though I am way up here. Too bad the receiver is broken, but if it had to be one or the other, I'm glad it was the transmitter that came through all right. There's only one of me. There are billions of you to talk to. You can't see me now. You'll have to wait hours for the dawn. I'll have mine in a few minutes.
That's the way he talked. And as we listened to the lonely voice from the night, the engineers, the scientists, the construction men worked round the clock. General Finch presented the problem in the pool interview. I asked the questions for the combined networks that afternoon. Most of you heard the complete broadcast live as he briefed the world with the clipped, laconic delivery of the soldier.
There are two basic problems. We've recovered the first and second stages of the rocket. We've only to construct the third stage. The second problem is more difficult. The pilot. Lieutenant McMillan was the only man physically and psychologically qualified. We discovered that in our first program. His training and orientation took 18 months. We have now to duplicate this in 27 days.
You think it's possible, General?
I don't know. That's all, Mr. Anders. Stevenson, get me some coffee, will you? Black and some kind of sandwich, no butter, no mayonnaise.
And then the voice from the cave asked a question and expected no answer.
Do you hear me down there? Sometimes I wonder. I wish there was some way I could be sure you were hearing me. Just that one thing might keep me from going crazy.
I was there the night we answered that question. I was there in a helicopter over Kansas City.
This is Harry Anders speaking to you from a helicopter over Kansas City. There are 15 seconds till midnight. The plan was developed by General Finch. At precisely midnight, every light in the city will be out and then flashed on in 2-second intervals. This will be the exact moment that McMillan's ship is calculated to pass overhead. It's almost time now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There they go. Off. On. Off. On. Off. On.
I see it. I see it. Kansas City winking at me. Oh, yes, I can see it. Thanks. Thanks. You're listening. I know that now. I'm not alone. I'll never forget. I'm waiting for you.
We're recording in the press gallery of the Goddard Rocket Base main construction hangar. The vast third stage component stands before us, men swarming up and down the gantry cranes. The Mark III is being built to carry 5 men instead of 1. The pilot selection has been kept a top secret to avoid unnecessary strain on the men selected. The latest progress report gives a possible margin of 6 hours between the launching of the rescue ship and the estimated exhaustion supply of oxygen to Lieutenant McMillan. The shift is changing now. The expert construction workers recruited from across the country by the combined efforts of the Air Force Personnel Service the Atomic Energy Commission, and the International United Electrical Workers and United Auto Workers of the AFL-CIO. The margin is 6 hours. 6 hours between life and death for Lieutenant Reverdy L. McMillan.
An hour ago, I saw the sun rise over Russia. Looks like any other land up here. The green where it should be green. Farther north, a sort of mud color. And then white where the snow is still deep. Up here, you wonder why we're so different when the land is the same. You think we're all the same children of the same mother planet. Who says we're different?
Can you hear me in the back?
Yes, a little close.
Well, how about this?
That's better.
All right, gentlemen, I have exactly 5 minutes for the press conference. Therefore, I'm not going to answer any questions. Progress report is as follows. As a safety factor, we're constructing 2 complete 3-stage rockets and 6 additional 3rd-stage components. The telemetered reports from McMillan's ship have added important additional information, and the first of the rescue vessels should be ready to be launched at the estimated time, weather permitting. Now, don't ask a question. Within certain limitations of air turbulence, the rocket will be ready to lift in time to save Lieutenant McMillan.
21 days. The air is bad tonight. I can't seem to get a full breath. It seems to stick in the lungs. It doesn't matter, though. But I wish you could see what I've seen. The vast, spreading universe around Earth like a bride in a soft veil. You'd know then that we belong out here. Come out, mankind. Come out and see what I have seen.
This is Harry Anders at Goddard Rocket Base. The Harrison Munch reactor engine for the first 3rd-stage rescue is being tested here at Goddard. You can hear the roaring of the gases in the test chamber behind me. The work has been stepped up as a new calculation based on the increased temperature reading from McMillan's ship indicates that the exhaustion time will be some 6 hours earlier than originally estimated. The margin of rescue will be in minutes.
Air very bad. Better hurry. Can't last much longer. Silly, of course you'll hurry. But I don't want anyone feeling sorry for me. I've seen the stars clearly. But more than this, I've seen the Earth. There where I have lived and loved. I have known it better than any man. And loved it better. And known its children better. Goodbye. I have a better tomb than the greatest conqueror Earth ever bore. Do not disturb.
Countdown for blastoff. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Anders, tape 323. We're in the press operation room of Goddard Field. The rescue rocket has been aloft 53 minutes plus. Its calculated time of arrival is 54 minutes. You will hear the voice of General Beauregard Finch on a direct pickup from the rescue vessel, which has been named unofficially the Lifesaver. Silent crowds have collected at the outer perimeter of the rocket base, as if by their presence they might help it.
Come, quiet.
The next voice you hear will be General Finch aloft in the rescue ship. The voice quality may not be good. He's speaking over a throat mic in his pressure suit.
Mark 3 to base. This is Finch. Secure, thank you. We have just secured to the airlock of McMillan's ship. I'm now entering the lock. The inner door is closed. I have closed the outer door. The inner door is cycling. Now it is open. Bring in those oxy bottles, will you? bulkheads of the control room is open.
Is he all right?
Come on, what's happening?
Lieutenant McMillan is dead. He died heroically, waiting till all hope was gone, until every oxygen gauge stood at zero. And then, well, the airlock was open when we arrived. In accordance with his own wish, his body will be left here in its eternal orbit. I'm going to leave now. My feet will be the last to touch this deck. Lieutenant McMillan is in his control chair, staring out towards the stars. I'll leave the airlock doors open behind me. Let the airless, frigid arms of space protect and preserve for all eternity this man they would not let go.
Well, that's the show, Bill. Bill, you remember at the conference we hadn't made up our mind whether to pick anything up from the celebration last night after the news of the Mars landing? I said it was the right end for Rev McMillan's story. You said it was old stuff. Every kid knew the sequence. The ships built to rescue Rev, used to set up the satellite base, from the base to the moon and now to Mars. Well, I went out with a mini-tape last night, and I've got the end of the story. Here it is. This is Harry Anders in Times Square. The neon rocket ship at the top of the Times building has just flashed into brilliant light. The signal that the landing signal has been received from the rocket Rev McMillan III. Man has landed on Mars. And the holiday crowd here in Times Square is celebrating like 1,000 New Years rolled into one. I'm being tossed and pushed and clapped on the back all at once. Let's see what the man on the street thinks about man on Mars. You, sir. I'm broadcasting. No. How do you feel about it, sir? How do you feel tonight about man's conquest of space, of the planet?
Leave me alone. I'm in a hurry.
Just a few words.
Look, you get your hands off me. Let go of me. I'm not in.
Wait a minute, sir. Wait. Rev, come back here. Rev. You think I could listen to that voice over and over in a tape editing room and not know every vowel, every consonant? I'm telling you, Bill, I saw him. Rev McMillan. The black hair was gray and those Clark Gable ears were pinned back, but that's a simple operation. I played that piece of tape over and over. It was Rev, I know it. He isn't up there. He's alive. We've got it, Bill. We've got it on our show. We'll break it. Rev McMillan is alive. I haven't written it yet, but we finish it off with this, with a question. Why did they announce he was dead? I'm in the tape editing room now. I've got the reel ready to record the answer.
Excuse me, Mr. Anders.
Hey, just a minute. I'm recording. You better see the page outside
Mr.
of the...
Anders, I'd like to talk to you for a moment, if I may. I have a letter of authorization.
Just a minute. I'll be through in a minute. Look, Bill, I've got the answer now. Last night, they landed on Mars. But that first ship, the one that circles up there now, there isn't anybody on it. There never was, except a 30 days recording and a transmitter. That's all. He was never up there. They didn't have the money for a manned rocket. They wanted a crash program all out, so they sent a decoy up. And we all broke our hearts to rescue the man who wasn't there. Oh, he must be laughing, General Finch and the rest of them, the ones that knew. Yeah, I guess they had a problem. What to do with Rev? I wonder if he slipped away from whatever guards they have around him to see the celebration. He looked a little sad. I think sometimes he must wish he was really up there in the cave of night, seated in the icy control room, 1,075 miles above the Earth, staring out at the stars.
Mr. Anders, I must insist...
What? Bill. Looks as if I won't have to worry about editing this tape. My friends are from Washington.
I'd like to call your attention to the last paragraph.
What? Oh, no. It's very simple. You won't have to burn it. It's easy to destroy recording tape. I throw this switch. When the tape goes through the erasing head, it's gone forever. Oh, too bad. Would have made one fine show. Okay. So long, Rev.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features an exciting serial, Slave Ship, by Frederick P.
magic island of Euclipdia is over 4,000 miles from Los Angeles, California. Yet most of the activity of our story has been around Los Angeles for some little time. To begin with, Mrs. Gregory and her entire party were landed safely back in California, the Euclidean girl submarine commander bringing her rocket plane down on Lake Hollywood. Now, Captain Bradford and this girl have set off again in the rocket plane, trying to reach Euclipdia before G-47 and the scientists can escape. Mrs. Gregory, with Jerry and Joan and her crew, are to follow immediately with a large boat chartered for the occasion. We find Mrs. Gregory with her trusted employee, Johnson, waiting impatiently at the harbor for Jerry and Joan.
Oh, how long have we been waiting now, Johnson?
Over 3 hours, Mrs. Gregory.
3 hours. And what has happened?
Well, we have no way of knowing for sure.
No way of knowing. And somewhere in that southern sky, Tex and Elaine are hurtling toward Euclipdia at a speed of 1,000 miles an hour. Yet we have no way of knowing exactly what's happening to them. Jerry and Joan. Over 3 hours since they went to Lake Hollywood to help Tex and Elaine take off. Yet we have no way of knowing where they are.
Well, nevertheless, I think we're doing the only sensible thing by remaining here in your boat, in the radio cabin. We're connected to the shore telephone, and they'll get word to us the minute they can do so safely.
But what could have happened to them?
Well, nothing very serious, or we'd have heard from them.
Oh, no, Johnson. It must be something serious. That's the reason we don't hear.
But we do know they left the lake 3 hours ago. We've sent 2 people up there, and no sign of them.
Johnson, I'm not ordinarily frightened by things like this. But we've seen so much of the power of these people. The Euclideans are clever and dangerous. Oh, I think Tex and that girl can take care of themselves. But Jerry and Joan have disappeared. In Hollywood, in broad daylight. It just isn't reasonable.
Well, they're not here. And we can't do anything but lie here and wait for them.
I know. But Tex expects us to be over 3 hours on our way by this time. Do you realize that we'll be 6 days getting to Euclipdia? And that Tex and Elaine will have to keep that little plane afloat over that location for 6 days, threatening the Euclideans and bluffing them into staying underwater and living on condensed food?
Yes, but all of that will be a matter of routine to both of them. The captain knows his business, and the girl strikes me as being more than usually clever.
Oh, she's remarkable. And Tex is a grand person. But neither of them can work miracles.
Well, I'm sorry, Mrs. Gregory. There's nothing more I can say.
I understand, Johnson. And I'm sorry for being such a worry to you.
I'll take it. Hello?
Hello? Who's this?
This is Johnson speaking.
Hello, Johnson. This is Jerry.
Jerry?
Jerry, Joan.
May I speak to Mrs. Gregory, please?
Sure. Hold it a minute. He wants to speak to you.
Oh, thanks, Johnson. Jerry, how are you?
Oh, I'm okay. Joan's fine, too. Although we had a little trouble getting away to come down there.
Well, where are you now?
Oh, we're in jail.
In jail?
Yes, I'm in jail. A good, strong jail, too. But we're going to get out right away.
Well, what did you do to get yourselves in there?
Oh, just what we thought was best to do. We tried to keep the story of what was going on from getting to the papers and the radio stations, and we kept it quiet for 3 hours, but it's gone now.
Well, that may be long enough, Jerry. We have a man waiting with his set open in the radio shack. We haven't heard anything yet, or we'd have found out about it.
Oh, okay. We just talked to the chief and got everything fixed up. We'll be there in half an hour.
Half an hour? Well, you can't make that, Jerry.
Yes, we can. The chief's going to give us a police escort. We'll be there and ready to go in half an hour.
Well, we'll be ready to cast off when you arrive. Goodbye, Jerry.
Bye.
So they're in jail.
Yes. Jerry says they got there trying to keep the news of our departure a secret.
Well, I think they were trying to cover up the captain's flight.
Oh, of course they were. Tex said that no matter what happened, we weren't to try to communicate with him or let anyone know he'd gone until they'd had 4 hours. That should put them at Euclipdia.
Well, Jerry's apparently done his best, even to the point of going to jail over it.
Oh, he's a great boy, Jerry is. He's been a wonderful help to us. Now, Johnson, I think we'd better get ready to shove off. If Jerry and Joan make it here in a half an
hour. How do you like it, Joan?
Oh, I like it very much. I have never ridden like this before.
These police cars are sure made to go when they have to.
Those men on what do you call them?
Motorcycles?
Yes, the motorcycles. They ride fearlessly and clear the way for us.
We're sure doing it in style, all right. Well, Joan, in just a few minutes we'll be on board the boat on our way to Euclipdia again.
And I hope for the last time. I want to live in your world, Jerry, with all of Mother's sensible, normal friends.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But, well, I like all this Magic Island stuff. Of course, it's exciting to me.
I beg your pardon, young lady.
Oh, yes, officer?
Sergeant, Joan, Sergeant.
I am sorry, Sergeant.
You're Mrs. Gregory's little daughter, I said.
Yes, sir.
And you lived 14 years on that thing they call the Magic Island?
That is correct.
Then, would you be so good as to give me your autograph?
My autograph?
You know, Joan, like the picture stars do. Sign your name for the sergeant.
Would you do that?
I should be glad to, but I cannot understand your request. I do not know the customs of Hollywood, but I thought only celebrated people were asked for their autograph.
You're celebrated enough in my house. Sure, I've got a small daughter of my own, only 6 years old, and I've had many an argument with her. I tell her the old Irish bedtime stories about the banshees. They're the little people who come out at night, you know.
No, I did not know.
Well, they do. Many's the time I've heard the banshees wailing and seen the fairies dancing over the bog in County Down. But will my little girl believe that? She will not. Says she, there's no such thing as fairies.
Well, I agree with her.
Shame on you, Jerry Hart. And with a name like yours, too. And this beautiful girl sitting right beside you.
I will sign my name for you, officer, Sergeant. But what has that to do with your little girl?
Sure, and if I show her your name, written in my traffic book, she'll believe me. She knows all about the Magic Island. And when she says that I've really had you riding in my car, I'll have less trouble with my bedtime stories hereafter.
I guess you might at that. Okay, Joan, sign your name for the Sarge.
It will be a pleasure. Only think of it, Jerry. I have been asked for my autograph.
Yeah, I know. And when we get home, I suppose you want to go to work in the pictures.
I should not mind.
Well, there's no time for that now. We're pretty near the harbor, and we'll be plenty busy explaining to your mother after we do get there.
I've made the rounds for the third time, Mrs. Gregory. Everything's shipshape, and a couple of the men are holding us fast with hand-snubbed lines.
Well, they should be here any minute now. Oh, Skipper.
Aye.
Will you start the motors and stand by to shove off the instant Jerry and Joan are aboard?
Aye. Nearly 4 hours since the captain took off.
Well, I think we may expect to hear from him almost immediately after he lands at Euclipdia.
Listen.
Yes, they're coming. Jerry said they had a police escort.
And I'll bet Jerry's making the most of that.
To say nothing of the thrill it is for Joan.
Well, McLeod's on his toes. He's starting the motors.
I wish we could hear from Tex.
Well, he hasn't been gone quite 4 hours, and they wouldn't have much chance of making it in less than that.
Johnson, listen.
They're on the pier now. It'll only be a minute.
Oh, Skipper.
Aye.
They're coming.
Aye.
Ready to shove off?
Aye.
Will you please go in the radio shack and wait, Johnson? I know you won't miss anything. I'll meet them and order our sailing.
Very well, Mrs. Gregory. I'll watch the radio.
Good night, and good luck to the two of you.
Hurry, Joan.
We are coming, Mother.
Hi, Skipper. Shove off. We're here.
Not so fast, Jerry.
Oh, give me your hand, Joan. Come on. Over you go.
Oh, thank you.
Hurry into my cabin, you two. Cast off, Skipper.
Aye.
And full speed ahead at every possible moment.
Aye.
We are sorry to be so late, Mother.
Oh, I'm sure you couldn't avoid it.
We sure couldn't. You see, Mrs. Gregory...
One moment, Jerry. Wait until we get in the cabin.
Gee, Mrs. Gregory, somebody on board you can't trust?
No, Jerry. Just that I want to talk in here where Johnson can reach me immediately if he picks up anything on the radio.
No news of the captain as yet.
No, but we're expecting it any time.
Golly, we sure got underway quick.
Yes, Jerry, we've been waiting for you over 3 hours, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, Mrs. Gregory, but we had a good reason. You see, a reporter and a cameraman followed us to Lake Hollywood and saw the captain and Elaine take off in the Euclidean rocket plane.
Oh, Jerry, they didn't know what Texas' destination was.
They seem to have a very good idea.
But how, Joan?
Well, golly whiskers, Mrs. Gregory. Everybody in the country knows about our trip down to Magic Island, and I'll bet plenty of people managed to find out we got back all right.
But they couldn't possibly have known about Texas' formula or what he plans to do at the underwater city.
No, Mother. They do not even suspect the existence of Euclipdia. But they do know a great deal about the Magic Island.
Well, what happened?
Well, they came dashing up just as the rocket plane took off. But they were too late to get a good picture of it.
But they took our pictures, Mother.
Well, that couldn't do any harm. But how did you get in jail?
Well, we figured that Tex didn't want any stories about this flight of his to get out until he was at Euclipdia.
Knowing that Elaine and the captain were afraid G-47 would be inspired to make a desperate attempt to escape if he realized capture was so near.
That's right. But you couldn't stop the story.
Oh, we did for a while. Well, I took a shortcut over the hills and headed them off on a one-way road and swung your car around so it blocked the road and couldn't be moved. Then we had plenty of luck when the road behind them filled up with cars before they could get out.
And then the officers came, and Jerry talked very fast, even faster than usual. And the officer agreed to take the 2 newspapermen to jail with us.
Oh, very nice, Jerry. And did they take them?
Oh, boy, they sure did. I told the cop who arrested us just enough about you and the captain that he knew I had something serious to tell. And he agreed to hold those fellows and not let them get the story out until I had a chance to explain it at headquarters.
But how did you get the chief's attention at this time of day?
Well, I just kept asking for him and saying you told me to talk to him. And pretty soon he came down to the jail. Well, after I told him the whole story, he held us all 3 hours and then let the reporters out at the same time he sent us down here.
We tried to get away earlier to join you, but the chief said he really had no reason to hold those men unless he held us also. And Jerry and I agreed that those 3 hours meant more to Captain Bradford and Elaine than they would to this boat.
And you thought exactly right. Tex should have time enough to land at Euclipdia and take control before that news can possibly reach G47.
Well, that's what we figured.
Well, children, we're off on another mad race to the South Sea.
I hope this is the last one.
Don't worry, it will be. And when you get back, you can walk up and down Hollywood Boulevard all day handing out your autograph.
Why, Jerry, what does that remark mean?
I am a celebrity, Mother. I have given my autograph to a sergeant of police.
Oh, don't, dear. I know you don't realize it, but you're a born diplomat. As long as you have the officers asking for your autograph, you'll do very well in our world.
Captain Tex Bradford and Elaine Raleigh, the Euclidean girl submarine commander who has joined the Gregory party, have been flying 4 hours in the stolen Euclidean rocket plane, trying to reach the location of Euclipdia before their fuel gives out. Just outside Los Angeles Harbor, a small passenger vessel chartered by Mrs. Gregory has put to sea, heading for the same location, but expecting to require between 5 and 6 days to reach the captain and Elaine. On board with Mrs. Gregory are Joan, Jerry, and their faithful friends of previous cruises. Our story today leaves them 4,000 miles behind, however, and we join Elaine and Captain Tex Bradford in the Euclidean rocket plane.
How's the fuel holding out, Elaine?
It is nearly exhausted, Captain Bradford.
Think we can make it?
I am checking our position.
No, we've got 25,000 feet of altitude to help us.
I believe we will need it. It is foolish to waste our last bit of fuel if we may glide down and save it.
Well, why save it?
We may need it later.
There won't be enough left to take us anywhere.
No, but there may be sufficient to keep us from drifting anywhere.
Yeah, sure. I guess I'm getting old.
No one person can think of everything.
You seem to do a pretty good job of it.
Thank you.
Found out where we are?
We are within gliding distance of Euclipdia.
Okay, cut your power and let's go down.
I am doing so.
I just had another pleasant thought to add to our troubles.
If it concerns something we can do nothing about, it is not wise to worry about it.
Well, we can't do anything about this, but I can't help worrying about it either.
What is it?
We're not going to have fuel enough left to take us very far from where we land, is that right?
Correct.
And what happens to us if we find that G47 and his Euclideans are swarming all over the water waiting for us?
That is indeed an unpleasant thought. However, you must have thought of that before this.
Yes, I have, but it looks a little different when you're looking at it from back home and when you're drifting down into it.
I hope we will find the submarine locks of Euclipdia helpless as we left them.
If you were right about how long they'd stay bottled up in there, we're okay.
It will be only a short time until we know.
How fast are we falling?
5,000 feet a minute.
Gee, that's falling pretty fast. Can we check it when we get ready?
I have tested my helium tanks. We have sufficient gas to inflate the shell and land gently.
How will we be able to tell what the Euclideans are doing?
The instant we land, I will be able to give you a full report on that.
Well, how, if you don't mind telling me?
I have directional radio beam receivers in this plane. They will register the slightest metallic disturbance. If we encounter none within a reasonable distance of the underwater city, we may be sure the Euclideans are not operating outside the confines of the city.
You seem to have covered everything. How's the altitude?
18,000 feet.
Lost 7,000 feet already.
Precisely.
How about radioing to Mrs. Gregory's boat and finding out what they're doing?
I would not recommend that as yet.
I suppose it would be better to wait until we're sure about those Euclideans.
That is my opinion. G47 and his scientists would make a desperate attempt to escape with at least a chosen few of the Euclideans.
Yeah, and he might succeed.
He would succeed very easily if he wanted to take only his chief scientists.
They'd use the same surface lock we escaped from, I suppose.
Exactly.
But they wouldn't take any boat, no way of getting away from that position.
Not for any great distance, to be sure. But they have life rafts which could be inflated and float them for some time.
I'd hate to be playing around among the sharks in a rubber lifeboat for very long.
Those boats are not rubber. They are made of very thin copper. They do not tear easily, and the Euclideans' ray guns would discourage the sharks for some time.
Nice play we're getting into.
It does present difficulties. However, I believe we will overcome them.
That right? 11,000 feet?
Yes.
Falling more than 5,000 a minute, then.
I think not.
Have you anything strong enough to steady that water through at this altitude?
Naturally. That slender copper tube set into the panel before you. Pull the tube downward.
Like this? Ouch!
Yes, Captain. That is correct.
Maybe, but I don't like my telescope hitting me in the head.
Its length is greater than you would expect. You may now look downward through it.
Don't you have to aim it at anything?
That is a reflecting telescope with a lens perfected on Euclidia. You will be able to sweep a mile section of ocean surface clearly from this altitude.
Which is,
8,000 feet.
Anything I can do about the particular part of the ocean I might want to look at?
Not with that instrument. It is, however, perhaps the most effective thing you could use at this time. The focal center of that telescope is synchronized automatically with the center of our landing area. And if we change course or angle of descent, your scope will change with us.
Good enough for me. Our landing area is exactly what I want to be looking at.
The graduated scale on the shaft may aid you in focusing.
Yes, I'm trying it, but there doesn't seem to be... Yes. Hold everything, Elaine.
What do you see?
Take a look. You know more about what to expect than I do. I suggest you don't go down any lower until you do take a look.
I'm stabilizing at this altitude. We are now 5,000 feet.
Well, hurry up and look.
I am. And I see what you saw. That, Captain Bradford, is a Euclidean life raft with several persons aboard.
Which does what to us?
That remains to be seen.
Would they have a radio on that thing?
Undoubtedly.
Then if we radio Mrs. Gregory's boat, they'll hear it down there?
Probably.
Just the same, I've got an idea, and I'm going to try it out.
You are in command, Captain.
Have those Euclideans any way of knowing that we're almost out of fuel?
No. If we had not carried an excess load to Los Angeles and flown at excess speed coming back, we should have fuel for several hundred miles.
Good. Now I'm going to try something. And no matter how crazy it sounds, don't interrupt until I'm through.
Proceed, Captain. The transmitter is ready for you.
Bradford to Gregory boat. Bradford to Gregory boat. QRS. If you are getting me, make it snappy. We haven't any time to waste. This is emergent.
Hall is answering.
Can you hear me clearly, Jerry?
Swell. Go ahead.
We are over Euclidia. From the looks of things on the water, some of them are trying to escape. We are going down and drop some of my solvent on their raft. Naturally, they can't hold out long. If they came out of where we think they did, they'll have to jump for their lives and dive down into that airlock again. Have you got that much of it?
Got it all. What do we do?
Just keep coming as fast as you can. We'll set down over that lock and anchor the solvent around Euclidia where it will do the most good. I just want you to know our plans so you understand that we'll be on the water and saving our radio power if you don't hear for some time.
Okay. I'll tell Mrs. Gregory. Everything's fine here, and we're getting 21 knots out of this old tub.
Good work, kid. Now keep your chin up. We'll be seeing you. That's all. Got the transmitter.
I have done so.
Well, how about it?
It was an excellent idea, Captain. Now we shall see if the Euclideans are taking it seriously.
Well, if they didn't hear it, we'll have to do it all over again.
Would Jerry understand?
You bet he would. That boy doesn't ask any questions till he knows the meeting's open.
There is some activity in the life raft below.
Are they getting ready to leave it?
I cannot be sure, but it looks as if they are indeed putting on their helmets.
And we'd better get down there to make this attack of ours look as real as we can.
Agreed. We descend.
How quick can we get down there?
Allowing for time to circle as we descend, keeping that point under the axis of our circle, we should land in 120 seconds.
And can they all get back into that lock in 2 minutes?
Hardly. Not and deflate the raft.
Good. That's what I want, that raft. See just how fast you can get down to them. If they abandon that raft, we may find supplies on that will do us a lot of good during the next 6 days.
Correct, Captain. We will descend as rapidly as possible.
And if our bluff doesn't work, if G47 has nerve to stay on top of the water and see this thing through, well, we haven't a chance in the world of beating him.
I believe we have. This plane will afford us much more protection than an open raft, and we can easily extinguish their lives with our heavy ray guns.
Oh, none of that, Elaine. You don't seem to get the idea that in our world we don't go around killing people. Either we'll take these Euclideans prisoners one of these days, or they'll take us again.
Yours is a strange world, Captain, but I realize that you are right.
However, it's mighty poor satisfaction to be right if you lose out.
I think you will not lose, Captain Bradford.
What do you see now?
You watch through the scope. I will maneuver for a landing.
Yep. They're leaving the raft. And they're getting off fast. Say, they won't have time to take it with them.
That is well.
Drop down there just as fast as you can. We'll grab it.
I would suggest not rushing into a landing in that exact spot, Captain Bradford.
But I'd like to get the provisions off the raft.
Precisely. And G-47 knows that beyond a doubt. Or at least suspects that you want the raft.
But we're running out of fuel.
We have run out.
All gone?
There is no more fuel.
And we'll have to land right on that spot if we're going to make sure they stay down under.
I will have enough compressed helium to use for surface maneuvers for several days, I believe. And I advise against landing near that raft.
But why? They can't hurt us. Now look, the last man is going over the side of that raft now. They can't have anything on but those temporary diving helmets, and they haven't any choice but to get back into that lock.
Nevertheless, with your permission, I will land at least 100 yards from that raft.
Well, I can't see any reason for it, but I know you must have one.
I have. And in a very few seconds, I will show you an active demonstration of my reason.
Well, what are you going to do?
I am gliding toward that raft, exactly as if I expected to land there. But at the last second, I will elevate the nose of this plane and attempt to glide beyond the raft, passing over it at an elevation of about 50 feet.
And then?
I am not sure, but I would suggest that you brace yourself firmly in that seat.
I begin to get the idea. They're not going to leave that raft helpless for us to pick up so easily.
That is my thought. Brace yourself tightly. I will now glide above the raft, and we will see what G-47 has left for us. What do you think now, Captain?
I think that's about as close to getting blown to bits as I ever want to come.
It was indeed too near for comfort. I will now land as gently as possible, though you might preserve your position of self-protection, as I do not want to waste our helium in landing perfectly.
Well, save the gas. Go ahead and smack the water as hard as this ship will stand. After the tossing around that explosion gave us, I can stand anything.
Brace yourself. We will now land.
Okay.
We are now stabilized on the surface of the water.
How far from that airlock?
Approximately 200 yards from the spot at which the raft was blown up.
Good. Now, I suggest you use a little of the gas to get back directly over that airlock. Then we'll take steps to bottle the Euclideans up good and tight.
Very well.
Have you any of those magnetic bombs?
Several.
All right. Use a couple of them to hold that airlock shut, and we'll save my solvent until we actually have to use it.
Agreed. I will release a bomb when we are over the lock. One such charge will paralyze the lock for 2 hours.
Good. And after I'm sure those fellas can't get at me, I'll dive down there and fix some of the solvent to the lock gate. Then we'll be safe indefinitely.
Excellent. Well, Captain Bradford, it looks as if you are in command of the city of Euclidia at last. We are directly over the lock. The city is powerless.
But Roger in the 25th century.
And a shower of silver dollars from Popsicle Pete's money box. Far, far from Earth in the great void of outer space, out near the orbit of the planet Pluto, Buck, Wilma, and Dr. Hewer once discovered the black planetoids, small heavenly bodies made of a substance that absorbs light to such a degree it reflects not. planetoids that are virtually invisible, that exist in a state of perpetual darkness. On one of these strange little worlds, a powerful floodlight would illuminate only a tiny area because of the lack of reflection. And that's why Killer Kane and Ardela, seeking to escape from our friends in a super rocket plane, roared onward and onward through space and finally landed on one of the black planetoids. The spaceship of Buck, Wilma, and Dr. Hewer, badly disabled in the course of its flight, streaked downward into the planetoid's tremendous gravitational area, downward through its dense atmosphere, until finally it crashed. Now we open our story inside the ill-fated rocket ship's control cabin. Here we go, 500 years into the future.
Doc. Wilma. Are you all right?
I am, Doctor.
So am I. The crash certainly sounded bad, but... well, we're all whole. Yes. Thank heaven.
Knocked our lights out, though. I can't see a thing.
Well, I can.
Huh?
Our metal door must have been banged open. Look. There's a light coming through the port of Killer Kane's ship over there. Yes, Buck, I see it. And, Doctor, we finally got them. Thinking that we're done for, they'll come over here. All we need to do to trap them is to sit tight and keep perfectly quiet.
Buck is right, Dr. Hewer. We've got to be all ready for them. Well, I can feel my way over to the weapon cabinet. I'll get us some disintegrators and rocket pistols and hand light.
No light, Wilmer. I'll spot them and know that we're okay.
Of course, sorry.
The peculiar thing about light on this planetoid, Kane's metallo-glass port over there is quite bright, but it doesn't cast any general illumination whatever.
Any light on this place is completely absorbed by both the ground and the atmosphere.
That's why the air seems so stuffy all the time. But here's some weapons for you.
Oh, good, Wilmer.
No, thank you, Wilma.
Any sign of movement from their ship yet?
No, none whatsoever.
No. So we may as well make ourselves as comfortable as possible. Here, Wilma, there's a control seat right back of me right here.
Okay.
Only be careful getting to it because part of this half-wrecked control board is jutting out.
Oh, so I noticed.
Yeah, okay?
Sure. Well, now for a long, quiet wait until Kane and Ardela come over here to look at what they probably... Kane, if that crash landing didn't finish them off, I'll eat my flying jacket.
I'm pretty sure of it, aren't you?
Why not? I've ever such a crack up in my life.
You forget one thing, Ardela. The shock insulation built into that ship.
I still don't think they could have survived.
We're going to wait right here until we're sure.
No lights have appeared aboard that ship of theirs. Or what's left of it.
We're still going to wait.
Okay. Now for a long, quiet wait.
What's this?
Until Kane and Ardela come over here to look at what they probably think are our remains.
Do you hear that? They're alive.
No sign of their moving out of that ship yet. But they will.
It's coming through our radio unit, Kane.
Right. Their transmitter is on, but they don't know it.
Good.
They're moving around in the dark over there. Someone has accidentally turned it on. Ardela, we couldn't ask for more.
I still can't believe they ever survived that crash.
Oh, don't you believe your own ears?
Well...
Now we can play that waiting game as well as they can. What's more, we're in a far better position to do so.
Buck?
Quiet.
Yes, Wilma?
Can you reach me a drink of water?
Yeah, the tank's right here beside me. Matter of fact, I'm so dry myself I could almost exhale dust.
One for me, please. I can't think of anything I'd like more.
Right, sir. Uh-oh.
What's the matter?
Water tank is bone dry.
Listen.
Oh, no, are you sure?
Let me have your hand. See? Drop coming out.
Oh, but what's one thing we can't do without it? This is serious.
I know it. Afraid there's nothing we can do, though, until we can get into Kane's ship.
Well, but... Okay.
No water aboard their ship, eh? If they only knew it, there's a water hole less than 100 feet away from them.
How do you know?
Now, why do you suppose I navigated our ship down to this particular spot?
Well?
It's exactly where we landed when we were on this black planetoid before.
Oh, I see.
Incidentally, there's a deep natural pit not far from here, too. Ardela, I've got an idea.
Well, it had better be good.
Listen, as long as those three are inside their ship, we can't safely get over to them to put them out of the way.
Of course not. The minute we used enough light to get their exact location, they'd blast us down.
But if we can get one of them out of that ship, and it would certainly be Roger.
Now, wait a minute. Better tell me how you think you can do it.
Easily. By turning on our radio transmitter and letting them hear us talk.
What?
But just to make sure you don't pull any of your usual boners, I'll carefully write out exactly what we're going to say beforehand.
It still doesn't make sense, Kane.
A little bit of carefully planned dialogue will get Rogers out of that ship while my name is in Killer Kane.
Well, if you ask me, it'll have to be pretty good dialogue.
If you'll pipe down a minute so I can write it, it will. Now, while I'm doing it, you can keep a sharp eye in the general direction.
7 hours and still no sign of movement from Kane's rocket ship.
Oh, just gotta be patient, Wilma. This old wreck, we're helpless until they come over here.
If only there was some water. Isn't there an emergency tank of some kind on board, Doctor?
No, Wilma, I'm afraid not. We'll just have to grin and bear it.
Buck, we'd stand at least an equal chance if we made an attack on Kane and
Forget it, Wilma. We're thirsty, too. We don't dare take any chances.
Look, the light from the port of Kane's ship has gone out. I wonder what that means.
Probably nothing, Wilma. There's one of the forward compartments.
Dinah, I hope it doesn't mean they're getting ready to take off. If we left...
Now, wait, Buck, what's that?
Can't you even walk past this control board without bumping into it? I'm sorry.
You hear that? Our dealers bumped into the control board and turned on their radio unit.
Turn out the light in the forward compartment.
Yeah. Now that we've got the water tank full again, we don't need it on.
Rather a lucky find, that water hole out there, wasn't it?
Listen.
It's a lifesaver. Did you mark it well?
With a small flare.
What if Buck and the rest see it?
They're dead aboard that cracked-up wreck.
Maybe.
Anyway, the flare is behind a little clump where they couldn't see it.
Turn off the receiver. That's all we need to know.
Why turn off the receiver?
Because I want to make some adjustments on both receiver and transmitter.
Okay. Say, is our transmitter on, too?
What?
Oh, no, it couldn't have been.
Oh. Here now. I'm going to set this for a monodirectional beam on a wavelength of 4 centimeters.
What's for, Buck?
Here. Now, wait till I get into the locker here. There we are.
What are you going to do, Buck?
Put on a spacesuit and go out and get some water.
Buck, that's too dangerous.
This suit will give me protection and a way for us to communicate with each other while I'm out there. That's why I set the directional wavelength so that Kane and Ardella won't hear us.
But what if they see you out there?
In that blackness?
It's still a possibility, Buck.
I'll be just as ready for them as they'll be for me. One disintegrator and a rocket pistol, and I'll meet Killer Kane any place, any time.
But you can't fight the weapons on their ship.
Yes, Buck.
Only way they could see me from their ship would be by my getting in line with a flare. I'll stay the side of it.
And suppose you get lost out there.
You take a small hand flash and watch the directional rangefinder here on the radio panel, and you can guide me.
They might see that light.
Not if you cover it well.
Buck, I still wish you wouldn't go.
Thirsty?
Not that thirsty.
Sure you are. So is Dr. Hewer, and so am I. Here, help me get this helmet over my head, will you please, Doctor?
If I can feel my way over the other side.
Here, sir. Here we are. That's it.
Be sure you get it on straight so that you can talk to us through the midget radio unit. There. There now. Head on.
You, hear me all right?
Yes. Here, a rocket pistol and disintegrator, and a container for water.
Thanks. Now, here I go.
Doctor, I'm awfully worried about his going out
He'll
there.
be able to take care of himself, Wilma. He has rocket pistol, disintegrator, and the jumping belt that's filled with the uniform.
Buck,
Okay, Wilma. Sing along fine out here.
don't run smack into Kane's rocket ship.
Judging by the light we saw, it's well away from where I am.
Inside of that flare marking the water hole?
Not yet, sir. No. Oh, here, wait. Yeah, now I see it.
You sure it isn't another light in their plane?
No. Looks almost like a small bonfire.
Probably one of the flares from the laboratory deck of that ship.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm walking over toward it now.
Now, be careful, Buck. You don't want them to see you against that light.
Don't worry, Doctor. Hey!
What's the matter, Buck? Buck, what's happened? Answer me, Buck. Buck!
Well, it looks as though Kane's trick has worked, doesn't it?
Presenting the amazing interplanetary adventures of Flash Gordon. Last week, Flash Gordon, growing more and more visible, followed Queen Azura when she was captured by the Death Dwarfs and taken to Hoko, their king, while Zarkov rescued Dale Arden from the flaming cottage and they destroyed the invisibility machine to prevent the Blue Magic Men from using it. In the meanwhile, Khan the Hawkman had the soldiers show him the iron door leading to the Pit of Peril, to which Azura and Flash had disappeared. He ordered them to open the iron door. Paul arrived and questioned Khan's authority. Then Paul declared that as Azura was dead, he was the new ruler. Khan refused to acknowledge him ruler until it was definitely proved that Flash was dead. When the iron door was opened, neither Flash nor Azura answered when their names were called. Back in the tunnel, King Hoko ordered Azura taken to the fiery pit and burned to death. These thrilling adventures come to you as they are pictured each Sunday in the Comic Weekly, the world's greatest pictorial supplement of humor and adventure. The Comic Weekly, each page printed in full colors, is distributed everywhere as an integral part of your Hearst Sunday newspaper. Now we continue the story.
To the pit of fire with Azura. We'll roast the magic out of her.
No,
Listen to me, Hooker. Kill me if you choose, but do not torture me.
Do not torture you. Huh. Why should we not give you some of your own medicine? Did you not torture us? Have you not continued to torture us by keeping us in these dark tunnels?
You are men. I am only a defenseless woman.
Defenseless. Yes, now that your armies are not with you.
Listen to me, Hooker. I will bargain with you.
Bargain? Whoever heard of a prisoner bargaining? Listen to our men. They will bargain with me.
Then I will trade with you.
Trade with me? What have you to trade now, Azura?
Freedom.
Freedom?
My freedom for yours.
What do you mean?
If you will return me to my blue magic keeper safe and unharmed, I will open the iron door to you and give you back your freedom.
If I let you go, you will let us out of here, free to roam in the daylight, free to go and come as we please, where we please.
I will.
And you won't have your soldiers kill us off?
No, I promise. Well, what do you say? Will you return me to my people?
No.
You won't?
No, I will not. This is the moment I've been waiting for, Azura. For years I've thought of getting you in my power. Now that I have you, I'm going to put you out of the way for good.
Oh, mercy, Hoko. Mercy.
Listen to who begs for mercy. Get along to the fiery cauldron.
As Hoko, king of the Death Dwarf, forces Queen Azura at spear point out toward the bubbling, flame-spitting cauldron of an underground volcano, Flash Gordon, now fully visible, decides on a desperate attempt to save the Witch Queen.
Stand back, Azura.
Oh, save me, Flash.
The dwarfs scream in rage and terror as a blond wild man drops into their midst.
I'll fix you, you little monster.
Here, men, kill this giant. Here, what are you going to do? Let me down. Let me down.
You bet I'll let you down. Right into the boiling inferno.
No.
Oh, heck, what can we do now? The dwarfs are between us and the corridor to the iron door. We're trapped.
Not yet. Jump on my back. Put your arms around my neck and hold tight.
Well, what are you going to do, Flash?
I wasn't on the college track team for nothing. I'm going to use Hoko's spear as a vaulting pole. Hang on. Here we go.
And with those words, Flash Gordon swings Azura and himself up and soars over the heads of the enraged dwarfs.
Oh, it's free. Now, if only we can get out that iron door.
We can outdistance these dwarfs. Let's run for it.
In the meantime, Dr. Zarkov and Dale Arden arrive at the palace wall.
Here we are at the palace, Dale.
Yes, Dr. Zarkov. Where shall I tie our horse?
Lead him over there until we can see how the land lies.
Oh, Dr. Zarkov, I do hope we aren't too late. I hope Flash isn't...
Trust Flash to use his head, Dale. He will not willingly risk his life for nothing. If he is dead, it is only because he died fighting for his life.
What's that?
The sun is going down. It must be the changing of the guard. Right up to the gate. They will only see you. Then when they get you inside, I will slide off the horse and follow you wherever they take you.
All right, Dr. Zarkov. I don't care what they do to me. If only I can save Flash.
Call to them, Dale.
Oh, God! They've seen us. I mean me. They're letting down the drawbridge.
Good. Ride on into the palace yard.
Oh, stand where you are. Why, it's the Earth Girl. Where did you come from?
Where is Flash Gordon? Take me to him at once.
What?
Take me to Flash Gordon at once.
Did you hear, comrade? She wants to be taken to Flash Gordon. All right, Earth Girl. Come this way and you'll get your wish.
Dr. Zarkov, what do you suppose he means?
I do not know, Dale. And I do not like the way he said that. Wait until we get around the corner. I will grab his rifle.
Here, give me back my rifle, Earth Girl.
I haven't got it.
I have it, guard. That is enough out of you. Get down off the horse quickly, Dale. There is no time to lose.
All right, I'm coming. I'm down. Now what shall we do?
Get rid of this animal first. Here, get along. Now we will tie this guard up and hide him so he cannot give the alarm too soon. Here, give me your cloak, Dale.
Here it is.
Now, first we will gag him. Here, put him in his mouth.
He can't speak now.
That's fine. Now tie his arms. A little more around there. That's
All
it.
right.
That's it. Fine. And now his feet.
Tighter?
Yes, one more knot.
Good.
Ah, there. Now open that door, Dale.
Yes.
Now we will put him in that closet.
What?
Help me with his feet, Dale.
Certainly, Dr. Zarko.
Now we will search the palace for Flash Gordon.
At this moment, Saul, the chief magician, is highly elated at the way things have turned out.
So you thought you were ruling the blue magic land, eh, prisoner Khan?
I can hardly believe that Flash Gordon is dead.
Well, he is. No one can live in that pit of peril. And to think Azura let Flash Gordon take her down there.
More than likely she intended to push him in and slam the door after him. But he was too quick for her and dragged her with him.
Azura thought she was smart, putting Flash Gordon at the head of her armies when you Hawkmen attacked us.
So she was.
Well, I'm still alive. But where are Azura and her ex-commander-in-chief?
That's what I would like to know. Well, what are you going to do with me, Tal?
Yes, what am I going to do with you? That is the question. As long as you don't believe Azura and Flash Gordon are dead, I must hold you prisoner until you change your mind.
I shall never be sure until I see their bodies.
Now, fool, how can you see bodies consumed by fire? Oh, God! Bring the prisoner down to the cell block again. And to think I am King Tal the First. I am King Tal. Do you understand, guard?
Yes.
You see, Khan, the guards acknowledge me to be their king.
Yes, I hear them.
Who went by me?
No one, General. I mean, Your Majesty.
No one? I am sure someone brushed past me. One of you must have.
We are sorry, Your Majesty, but none of us went by you.
You know better than to admit it. Well, let us get the prisoner in his cell.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Off. Get in that cell, Khan.
Why not? There's nothing left to fight for.
Roar.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Stand guard at the end of the corridor. See that no one gets near the prisoner. You'll give him time to meditate on the follies of being a follower of a lost cause. Come, guard. Let us away to the Hall of State. I must have my kingship proclaimed throughout Blue Magic Land.
Khan. Captain Khan.
Hey? Who's that?
Zarko.
Zarko? Where are you? I can't see you. Come around in front of the cell.
I am around in front of your cell.
What? More of that invisible ray that you used on Flash?
Yes.
You brushed past Tal coming down the corridor.
Yes. He stepped into my path just as I was going by. Tell me, where is Flash?
They tell me he and Queen Azura went through the iron door that leads into some pit of peril. They haven't been seen since.
Good heavens. They are both dead.
I had the iron door opened. I called the Flash. There was no answer.
Oh, this is worse than I thought. Poor Dale. How can I break the news to her?
She will take it hard, Zarko. Wait until we are absolutely sure.
You think there may be a chance Flash is still alive?
Yes. I can't help feeling that it was a trick of chance that I received no answer when I called his name.
What do you mean?
What's going on here? What's all this talking? Why, I'm just talking to myself, guard. You don't see anyone, do you?
Well, if you keep it up, I'll have yourself headed.
Good. It would be more comfortable. Thanks for the suggestion.
And don't be humorous. King Saul shall hear of this.
You are saying, Khan?
Well, I figured the Flash wouldn't still be at that iron door after all this time if there were tunnels and corridors in that pit. He's too much of an explorer for that.
You think he may have been looking around in some part of the pit and so was unable to hear you?
Yes, that's just what I think. But I couldn't prove it then. So I surrendered to await my chance.
I can help you.
How?
As long as the electrical charge holds out, I will be able to search for Flash. Tell me, where is this iron door?
I don't know exactly.
But you have been there.
Yes.
How did you get to it?
I was taken there by laptop, one of the guards. It was getting dusk. I'm not sure of the path. Oh, if I could only get out of here.
Patience, now. I will do a little reconnoitering and report to you. What is the general direction this laptop led you?
North. We went through the north gate toward the hill. But which hill had the iron door, I don't know.
Be a good fear, Khan. I will look for the iron door and find Flash, or I will find his dead body.
While his friends are planning to search for him, Flash is running down corridor after corridor toward the iron door, followed by Azura and pursued by the tribe of dwarfs.
Hurry, Azura. Hurry! This way.
I'm hurrying as fast as I can, Flash.
Can't be far now. This pit can't be very large.
But it's got endless passages, Flash.
We must be careful not to take a blind turn and land up against the wall.
This is a great time to think of that, Azura.
Oh, I've been thinking of it. Each corner we've rounded. Those little fiends are still after us.
We can outdistance them. If we get to that iron door, we're safe.
Oh, hurry, Flash. Put down that turn.
I see it. The iron door, Azura. We've made it. We're safe.
Flash.
What's the matter? You all in?
No, the door is barred from the outside.
So it is. That makes it tougher.
I'll beat on it and see if any of our soldiers are standing guard. Help! Help! It's your queen, Azura!
No use, Azura. Here come the dwarfs. Stand behind me. I'll hold them off as long as I can. Will Flash Gordon be able to hold off the dwarfs long enough to have the door open and thereby save Azura and himself from a sure and horrible death? We will know at this same time next week. And here's some news about the Comic Weekly. Next Sunday, you will find a brand new feature in the Comic Weekly, the Poster Stamp Collectors Club. Of course, you will want to become a member of the club, and here is how you do it. Next Sunday, as soon as you get your Hearst Sunday newspaper, turn to the Comic Weekly, and there you will find a half page of wonderful, full-colored poster stamps of animals, history, geography, science, transportation, and many other interesting subjects. Each poster stamp is drawn by a real artist, true in every detail. They will all be reproduced in full color with titles and short descriptions at the bottom of each picture. And as to size, listen to this. Each colored poster stamp will be 6 times as large as the regular 3-cent postage stamp. All you have to do is to become a member is to cut out these poster stamps each week, paste them carefully in a scrapbook with the regular small stickers that all stamp collectors use, and you are a full-fledged collector. Each Sunday, the Comic Weekly will print a full half page of new and different poster stamps for your collection. Be sure to get yours with your Hearst Sunday newspaper. And next week at the same time, another chapter in the amazing interplanetary adventures of Flash Gordon.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
In a secret cave in the Black Forest of Germany, where several former Nazi leaders were hiding, a brilliant but unscrupulous Nazi scientist named Der Teufel injected a solution of pure kryptonite into the veins of a young German named Milch. Kryptonite, which is Superman's mortal enemy, is the most radioactive element in the world, Teufel said, and he promised that when young Milch awoke, he would be an atomic monster, generating such tremendous power and energy within his body that Superman and perhaps the entire world must acknowledge him as their master or be destroyed. For hours, the youth lay in a coma. Finally, unable to detect a heartbeat, General Bromberg, leader of the Nazis, ignored Teufel's frantic protests and ordered a grave to be dug. But as we continue now in the musty, dimly lit cave, Teufel suddenly cries out,
Wait, General. Look.
Look at what?
Young Milch. See, his chest moves. He's breathing.
Donnerwetter, it cannot be.
It is. See for yourself. He breathes, I tell you. And look, the color comes back to his cheeks.
Yeah, it is true, Teufel. But how can this be? His heart had stopped.
It had not really stopped, but without a stethoscope it could not be hurt. See, all of you, my Atom Man lives. Young Milk lives. And now it is the end of Superman and of all who dare to defy their Teufel and the Master German race. Ha, ha, ha!
He speaks. Come closer. Be quiet, everyone.
General Bromberg. Teufel, what is this?
His voice is so deep now.
How do you feel, Milch?
I feel strange. So light, as if I had no body. But I feel strong. Never have I felt so strong before.
Good. Can you stand?
Stand? Of course. Why not?
Let me see you.
All right. There, you see?
You do not feel dizzy?
No, I feel fine. So strong, as if I could carry all of you on my shoulder.
Good.
But why do you ask, Toy? Why do all of you look at me so strangely? What has happened?
Do you not remember the kryptonite?
Kryptonite. Ah, yes, the strange green glowing metal which my father dissolved and which you injected into my blood.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yes, you said it would make me an Atom Man. You said I would only have to hold out my hands and such a stream of atomic power would flow from my body that... No, it can't be.
It can be and it will be. You have now such power that no army, however vast, can stand before you. Not even Superman can resist you.
I have such power, Teufel.
You have, my son.
I can't believe it.
I do not believe it, Teufel.
I will prove it to you. First, the gloves.
Gloves?
Yeah. Here they are. Put them on.
What strange gloves.
They seem to be made of some meshed metal.
They are made of platinum and thorium. You must remember always to put them on before you touch the converter. Through their fingers will emerge the atomic power in your body.
They fit well. You spoke of a converter?
Yeah. It is that small square metal box attached to your throat. It, too, is made of thorium and contains a tiny electronic tube. When you turn the little switch, an impulse flashes to the kryptonite atoms in your blood. No! Do not touch the switch or you will explode all of us into nothing.
You can't be serious, Toy.
You will see for yourself. Come.
Where?
Outside the cave. You two, General Bromberg, and all you others, come with us.
Go quietly. There are live soldiers all about in the forest.
It's still dark, General. Follow me now. We will go to the top of the small hill just ahead.
But why do we go there, Teufel?
In a moment you shall see. As soon as we reach the top of this hill.
Be careful. The light soldiers may have heard the shots before and be searching for us.
You can stop fearing their light soldiers, General. Soon all of them will be the slaves of my Atom Man.
An Atom Man? You speak like a fool, Teufel. It is impossible. Fantastic.
So they said of the first automobile and the airplane and the telephone. And so they said of the first atomic bomb.
But an Atom Man...
I said you shall see. Here. Just far enough. All of you stand behind us.
Now what?
Now comes the demonstration of how the master German race, as guided by me, shall rise again to destroy all our enemies and rule the world. Yeah. Now, young men, you will listen to me and do exactly as I say. You are ready?
I am ready, Teufel.
Your gloves are on firmly?
Yes.
Let me see if the converter fits exactly over your jugular vein. Yeah. You have felt where the little switch is.
I know.
Do not touch it yet. You are facing us. Turn toward the cave below.
All right. What do I do now?
Now, turn the switch on the converter.
All right. There.
What happens?
That sound. My voice. What an unusual voice.
You are now an Atom Man. Your voice is the voice of atomic energy. The kryptonite atoms rush through your blood to your fingertips, where they will emerge in an unbroken chain of unlimited power.
What is that?
Point your hands at the cave, quickly.
Ja, Teufel.
As the slim, blond young German raises his mesh-gloved hands, a brilliant white light which seems to illumine the entire forest flashes above him. And then there is a tremendous explosion. What has happened? We'll return in a moment to find out. But right now, here's a word from your announcer.
You know, one of the swell things about collecting these new comic buttons that come in packages of Kellogg's Pep is that you're already acquainted with the characters. Sure, you've been following their adventures in the funny papers for ages. So when you get a button with a picture of Winnie Winkle on it, well, it's kind of like meeting up with an old friend, or Superman, or Harold Teen, or any of the 18 different buttons in the series. And is it swell fun to get a new button for your collection whenever Mom opens a package of pep, or to swap duplicates with your friends? And the best part is, you don't have to send in a single penny to get these keen-looking buttons, not even a box top. Fact is, you can't buy them anywhere. They're exclusive prizes for you in packages of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Inside every package, you'll find one of these sharp new comic buttons, or military insignia, or a warplane button. Remember, that's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
On a small hill in the Black Forest, a young German named Milch, into whose veins Der Teufel has injected the kryptonite solution, turned the switch on the small converter at his throat, raised his mesh-gloved hands, and pointed them toward a cave 100 yards below. There was a blinding white flash, which seemed to light the entire forest like day, and then a violent explosion. As we continue now, Der Teufel laughs softly and gloatingly as the young atom man, General Bromberg, and 9 other Nazis gape wordlessly at a great canyon-like hole in the forest floor in which giant trees are uprooted and tons of earth and rock flung wildly into the air have fallen to form new grotesque mounds in the darkness. Then Teufel reaches from behind the atom man to turn off the converter at the youth's throat.
Oh, well, gentlemen, what do you say now?
I cannot believe it, Teufel. Look, the cave is no longer there.
It is as if a giant bomb dropped or an earthquake. Did I really do that, Teufel?
Of course you did, my boy. Did I not say that you now have unlimited atomic power within your body?
It makes my head whirl. I'll destroy all the Allied army camps. Come on.
Control yourself. It is I who give you your power, and I who can take it away. Do you understand that?
Yes, of course. I understand, Teufel.
It is I who will command, and you who will obey.
What are you getting at, Teufel?
It is necessary that this boy and I understand each other. Now hear me, Milch. You will leave here at once and proceed to America.
America?
Yeah. You will go to America and take care first of Superman.
I'll enjoy that. He ruined many of our greatest plans. But how will I find him?
In Metropolis, there's a large newspaper called the Daily Planet.
I know the paper. When I studied journalism in an American college, we often referred to the Daily Planet.
Good. You may be able to secure a position on the Daily Planet. Tell them you will do anything. Sweep floors, anything. But secure a position on the paper.
Why?
Because the Daily Planet alone has contact with Superman. You will discover what that contact is.
I see. All right. When I have finished with Superman, what then?
You will then go to a certain address which is sewn within your right glove. You feel a label in the glove?
Yes.
You will find me there. If not me, then another whom you will recognize. I or he will give you further orders.
Make haste, Teufel. I see flashlights in the woods. The soldiers must be coming.
Yeah. Go then, Milch. Oh, yes. In America, you must not have such a German-sounding name. Let me see.
When I was at school there, I was Henry Miller.
Henry Miller it is, then. In your jacket are forged papers and a passport. You will proceed to the village of Neuheim. There you will board a train for Berlin. From there, arrangements have been made to take you to Metropolis by plane. Sorry now, the flashlights come closer. Oh, wait. Take off the mesh gloves and pull the collar of your shirt about the converter.
All right.
Now go, hurry.
All right. Wait. My father, where is he?
I hoped I would not have to tell you. When you were in a coma, he left the cave. He was mad with grief, thinking you had died. Two American soldiers saw him and shot him.
The swine! Where are they?
You will revenge yourself on them and on all their countrymen in due time, but first you must take care of Superman. Then the rest of the world. Go now.
Yes, I'll go. I'll take care of Superman. And then of all the United States. Auf Wiedersehen, Teufel. Goodbye, General Bromberg. Goodbye, all of you. Hide.
Turning abruptly, the Atom Man plunges into the brush to begin his vengeful journey to Metropolis, the Daily Planet, and Superman. And so the first dangerous link is forged in the chain that may soon render Superman helpless. From now on, it's a battle to the death. So don't miss a single episode from now on. Tune in tomorrow and every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, and thrill to the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellas and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman, brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Claiming that he could transform a human being into an atomic monster who would be able to control the world, a brilliant but unscrupulous Nazi scientist known as Der Teufel injected a solution of kryptonite into the veins of a young German named Heinrich Milch. Wearing meshed gloves and a tiny converter at his throat, Milch, in a test, lifted his hands, and a violent explosion ensued which uprooted giant trees and tore a huge canyon-like hole in the Black Forest. Telling the awed youth that his first task was to conquer Superman, Teufel ordered him to go to America, where he had been educated, and under the name of Henry Miller, secure a position on the Metropolis Daily Planet, which was said to have contact with Superman. Meanwhile, having been unable to find Teufel in Germany, Superman has returned to Metropolis, and as we continue now, he is entering the laboratory of Dr. James Millison, a famous American scientist. Listen.
Clark Kent says you wanted to see me, Doctor.
Yes, Superman. Come in and sit down.
Can't we talk right here?
If you're worried about the sliver of kryptonite...
Frankly, I am. As you know, I can't come within 10 feet of it without losing my strength.
Well, you're quite safe in this laboratory. The sliver was destroyed. Come to my desk.
Destroyed?
Yes, in a final effort to discover the cause for its strange effect on you, I placed it in the cyclotron and bombarded it with atoms. Here we are. Sit down.
Thank you. Well, don't keep me in suspense, Doctor. Were you able to find a defense for me against the kryptonite?
I'm sorry to say I wasn't.
Oh.
I did my best, believe me.
Yes, I'm sure you did.
I tried everything, every method known to science, and all the knowledge of electronics developed during the war. I even called in 3 of my colleagues, the leaders in the fields of chemistry and biology and atomics.
They couldn't help either?
No. You see, your problem is most unique. It's without precedent. You can withstand the most intense power known to man, and yet you're vulnerable to the kryptonite in its stable state. That is, before its atomic structure is disturbed.
Yes, why is that?
That's the crux of the problem, which we can't discover. I can only guess at the answer. You were born on Krypton, where the radioactivity of the planet's elements gave you your amazing powers.
Yes.
But here in the atmosphere of Earth, the chemical structure of your body must react in the opposite way to the fragment of kryptonite and make you weak. I can't tell you why that chemical change takes place.
Well, can't you find out? I mean, perhaps some element or vitamin in my system breaks down. If we found out what it was and I absorbed a great quantity of it...
I thought of that. I even considered exposing you to the tiny piece of kryptonite I had, and then subjecting you to a blood test. And then I remembered your skin was impenetrable.
Yes, that's so. Doctor, something must be done. Der Teufel has a piece of that kryptonite. We traced him to Germany, but he disappeared there. Now, I know he intends to use it against me and then against the rest of the world.
Tell me, how large is the piece of kryptonite Teufel has?
Oh, roughly about the size of that paperweight on your desk.
Uh-huh. Not very large, but the stuff is amazingly pure. You wouldn't need much of it for a bomb powerful enough to destroy all of Metropolis.
What?
But it's impossible. He'd need a huge factory, and the occupation forces now control all the factories in Germany.
But suppose he doesn't intend to make bombs. Teufel told a henchman of his that he intends to create an atom man with the kryptonite.
Oh, what?
An atom man. Some kind of monster he said would be able to control me and enslave the rest of the world.
What in thunder did he mean by that?
I don't know, I'm sure, but I'm worried. Teufel is a brilliant scientist.
I know he is. He won prizes in science twice before the war, and we know he's the man responsible for the rocket bombs the Nazis used. But an atom man, I can't imagine what he meant.
No, I can't either. Unless...
Unless what?
Unless he had some mad idea. Doctor, would you say it was possible to somehow incorporate the kryptonite in a man's body?
Good heavens, no. The stuff would probably kill him, and
besides... You said it was very pure.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it contains practically no impurity.
Well?
That's another amazing thing about it. But introducing it into a man's body, why, even if it could be done and the man lived, what would be accomplished?
If Teufel discovered a way of harnessing and then loosing the tremendous atomic power you say there is in the kryptonite, while it was in a human body, Well, he'd have his atom man, wouldn't he?
Not even Teufel is that clever. Forget such a fantastic possibility, Superman.
Would you say it was impossible?
In science, we rarely say anything is impossible. But I'll go so far as to assure you that such an atom man is practically impossible.
Well, that's a relief. Now, if only there was some defense for me against the kryptonite. I know that Teufel has some plan up his sleeve, and apparently its success depends on getting me out of the way.
As I told you, I haven't been able to invent a defense against it. But I'm working on something now which may help you.
You are? What's that?
A detector.
Detector?
Yes, we were able to measure the humming sound the kryptonite makes and its gamma rays. Using a radar principle, we're completing a detector now which will warn you of the presence of the kryptonite while it's still some distance away.
How far away?
Well, that can't be determined accurately. It'll depend on the quantity of the stuff, whether or not it's subdued by other elements, and so on. But the detector will certainly register its approach within 100 yards.
Well, that'll give me a fighting chance, at least. I won't be taken by surprise. When will this detector be ready, Doctor?
Late today, I hope.
Oh?
2 of my assistants are working on it now. Would you like to see how they're progressing?
I certainly would. It might make the difference between life and death to me.
Come with me.
Thank you.
There's a small laboratory behind that steel door where I do my most important work.
Oh?
Here we are. In just a moment. This door's always locked. Come in.
Thanks.
This way. Those 2 men across the room are working on the detector. I'll bet they jump a foot when they see Superman in person.
As Superman and Dr. Millicent enter the private laboratory, an angry scene is taking place in Perry White's office at the Metropolis Daily Planet. Seated at his desk, the gray-haired editor scowls furiously at Jimmy Olsen, the freckle-faced cub reporter.
And you say Kent just walked out of the office again, Olsen?
Well, he didn't walk, he ran.
And he didn't say where he was going?
No, sir. He got a phone call, grabbed his hat, and beat it.
Did he say when he'd be back?
No, he didn't.
Well, how do you like that? Whenever Mr. Kent gets a notion he wants a vacation, which has been happening practically every day recently, he just takes it.
Oh, I don't think he went on any vacation, Chief. I mean, Mr. White.
You don't think? You know where he went?
No, but
Do you know where he disappeared to yesterday?
No.
Or the day before that?
No, but
Or the day before that, and the 3 days before that?
No, but
Well, neither do I. Neither does Lois. Neither does anybody except Kent himself, and he's not talking.
Well, I'm sure it must be something important.
Something important? Something too important to tell me, his editor? The poor fish who pays his salary? What am I around here anyway? The office boy? I mean the office boy? I mean the office boy?
Now, take it easy, Chief. You'll blow a gasket.
It's my gasket, and I'll blow it if I want to. I'll blow 1,000,000 of them.
But your blood pressure.
It's my blood pressure, too. Olsen, I put up with all I can stand from, can't I? I won't put up with any more. For years, I've stood for his disappearing whenever he felt like it, and then popping up again. But this is too much. This is the last straw.
But, Mr. White...
Ever since that piece of kryptonite was stolen from the museum a couple of weeks ago, Kent's hardly been in the office at all.
Oh, but that's what it is. Mr. Kent must be trying to find the kryptonite. He said Superman was in great danger from it.
Superman in danger? Well, of all the poppycock. If that's what Kent's wasting the Daily Planet's good money on, it's time he learned a lesson. Yes, sir, he needs a lesson, and I'm going to teach it to him.
Well, what do you mean?
What's that? Oh, the intercom. Well, what is it, Miss Blackrock?
There's a Mr. Henry Miller to see you, Mr. White.
Who?
Mr. Henry Miller.
Henry Miller. Henry Miller? Oh, who's he?
Henry Miller. Is this the young Nazi in whose blood runs the dread kryptonite?
We'll return in a moment for the exciting climax to today's episode. But right now, here's a word from your announcer.
You know, gang, it's not often you can get such swell prizes without sending in any money, not even a box stop. I'm talking about those brand new comic buttons that now come in packages of Kellogg's Pep. They're so easy to get, easy to look at, too. Bright comic strip colors, sparkling white background, sturdy metal buttons you'll get a kick out of wearing on your jacket or dress or cap. And what a kick you'll get out of collecting all 18 different buttons, trading duplicates with your friends, and comparing notes on how many you've collected so far. You know, these are real true-to-life pictures of your favorite comic strip friends, like Moon Mullins and K.O. and Smilin' Jack and Superman, of course, 18 of them in all, each one just about the best-looking thing you can imagine. So how about getting busy on your collection? Today, ask Mom to get you a good supply of that super-delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. That's the only way you can get these new comic buttons, you know. You can't buy them anywhere. You don't send in any money, not even a box stop. You just look inside the Pep package and see which prize you find. A nifty, colorful comic button or a military insignia or warplane button. It's a prize for you from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
In his office with Jimmy Olsen, Editor Perry White has just been informed by his secretary on the interoffice phone that a Mr. Henry Miller wishes to see him.
Henry Miller? Oh, who's he, Miss Backrack?
Oh, he's young and terribly good-looking, Mr.
Good looking?
White.
Who asked you if he's good looking?
Oh, boy.
Who is he and what does he want?
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. White. He's looking for a position.
Well, why bother me about it? Send him to Kinsey, the office manager.
Oh, but he's looking for a reporter's position, and you always interview reporters yourself.
Well, I'm not interviewing any today. I've got enough reporters. Too many, as a matter of fact, for my peace of mind. Send him away. Wait a minute. Did you say he was a reporter?
Yes, sir. Will you see him?
Will I? You bet I will. And if he's any kind of a reporter, I'll... Oh, send him in, Miss Backrack. Send him right in.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and this is rich.
Oh, what is?
This. It works out perfectly. I said I was going to teach Kent a lesson, didn't I?
Huh? Oh, sure, but I don't get it.
Oh, you will, and so will Kent. He thinks that... Now, come in. Oh, come in, Miller. Come in. Glad to see you. Why, you may be just the man I'm looking for.
Cordially, Perry White invites the slim, blond young man into his office, unaware that he is facing the most dangerous man who ever lived. For this is Henry Miller, the German atomic monster created by Der Teufel to conquer Superman, and he is about to be hired as a reporter for the Daily Planet. What will happen? Don't miss tomorrow's thrill-packed episode when Superman meets what may be his master. Tune in, same time, same station, and listen to The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman, brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Publications.
Escape. Transcribed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
You're aboard the Orient Express, rushing through the European night, bound for Istanbul. And in your compartment with you, a gun pointed at your head, a small, mysterious stranger is about to take your life.
Today, we escape from reality to the tense world of Balkan intrigue as Graham Greene pictured it in his famous novel, Orient Express.
Orient Express. Orient Express, now leaving.
My name is Gregory Myers. In 1932, I had to go to Istanbul on business, and I decided to take the Orient Express. After an uneventful trip across the Channel, I found myself at the station in Ostend, Belgium, where the Orient Express began. The porter took my bags and overcoat to my first-class compartment while I lingered on the platform. And, inevitably, somebody bumped into me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's quite all right.
Oh, which way are the second-class coaches, please?
That way, I think. Your suitcase looks heavy. May I?
Oh, no, thanks. I can manage all right.
Yeah, she had a very nice figure, trim and erect. I wondered whether she was going as far as Istanbul.
Orient Express, en voiture. En voiture.
I made my way down the platform to my coach. But there was a stranger in my compartment going through my overcoat.
Young man, you have the wrong compartment.
And you have the wrong overcoat.
This coat is mine. Also this compartment, number 7.
It happens to be number 8.
8? I have made a mistake. 1,000 apologies, sir.
Oh, that's all right.
Thank you. You are going to Belgrade, perhaps?
No, I'm for Istanbul.
So, allow me. My name is Richard John.
How do you do? My name's Myers, Gregory Myers.
I am grateful you are a fellow countryman. These little mistakes can be so difficult to explain.
Fellow countryman? But I'm American.
I also. I am a naturalized American all these many years, but the accent remains.
Yes, I suppose it does.
we are underway. I will go to my compartment. A most pleasant journey, sir, and again 1,000 apologies.
I looked at the landscape a while and then got out a book and settled down to read. And at that moment, of course, we ran into a string of tunnels, all of them pitch black. I was just about to ring for the guard to ask to have the lights switched on, but the train was crashing to a stop. We were in the tunnel. I got up and groped for the door. Went into the corridor just as the lights went on. Lying on the floor was the girl who had bumped into me. Excuse me, please. One side, please. Excuse me, please.
I told the emergency cord at once.
Madame Conductor, it is my duty to inform you it is not allowed for a passenger to stop the Orient Express. Mr. Meyer, if you will allow me, please.
Oh, Mr. John. Hadn't we better get a doctor?
I am a doctor, Mr. Meyer. Allow me. So, there is nothing wrong with this young lady. She has only fainted.
Oh, good. Give me a hand, Mr. John. Let's get her into my compartment.
I'm all right now. Really, I am.
Yes, of course you are. Here you are. Drink this. It's brandy.
Drink it, young lady. It will help you.
Good. I don't know why I think it. I never did before.
When did you last have a decent meal? Yesterday? The day before?
Suppose it was the day before. That's my affair.
You have no money?
No.
How would you like to have dinner with me?
Well,
Now, please say yes.
I won't say no.
Fine. Will you join us, Mr. John?
No, I prefer to remain in my compartment.
As we dined, I learned her name was Carol Musker. She was a chorus girl, and she had a job waiting for her in Istanbul. I felt a bit sorry for her, but, well, more than that, I remembered how she felt in my arms when I carried her into my compartment. And I wanted to hold her again.
I ate a lot, Mr. Myers. I hope you can afford the check.
I think I can.
Oh, good.
Now, how about breakfast tomorrow? And all the rest of your meals till we reach Istanbul.
Mr. Myatt, I hope you don't have any ideas about me.
Well, of course I have. You're very attractive.
Well, I don't know anything about you. For all I know, you're married and have 6 children.
I am not, and I haven't. How about you?
I have no one.
Well, then there's no reason why we shouldn't have ideas about each other, is there? And by the way, my first name's Gregory. More coffee or dessert?
No, thanks.
Well, then as soon as I pay the...
Mr. Myatt.
Oh, Mr. John.
Excuse me. Is this yours?
That's my pocketbook.
I found it in the corridor outside my compartment. You must have dropped it when you lifted this young lady.
He gave me my pocketbook and left the dining car. All my money was there, but one thing I knew, I had not dropped my pocketbook. Mr. John had taken it. Well, Carol and I started through the train. It was about 9 o'clock, and the lights were already dimmed. In the second-class coaches, people were asleep, sitting up in the crowded compartments.
Mr. Myatt, here's my compartment. Thank you for dinner.
It's, very early. You have to go in?
Oh, I'm tired.
Oh, it's too crowded in there for comfortable sleeping. Besides, you never know who's next to you.
Oh, but I do. That little fat man, see? His name's Joseph Grimlick. He introduced himself.
Oh, he did he?
You're not jealous.
No. But what do you know about him? He might be a thief or a bigamist.
Now you're being ridiculous. Well, good night, Mr. Myatt. Gregory?
Carol.
Hmm?
You might kiss me good night. No one will notice.
All right.
What?
Young lovers, eh?
Oh, Mr. Grimlick.
If you're going somewhere, sir, why don't you go ahead?
Do not be angry, please, sir. I was not spying, Mr. Meyer.
How do you know my name?
We all heard of the gentleman gallant enough to take Miss Musker to dinner at the good doctor's suggestion.
Doctor? What doctor?
Mr. John. He's a doctor, is he not? Now, if you'll please excuse me, I must get some water. I'm quite thirsty.
I don't think I like that guy. Carol, how about taking my compartment?
Your compartment?
Or I'll get you another one. We'll speak to the conductor right now, huh?
First-class compartment for the young lady, monsieur. You must wait until we arrive at Cologne.
No tickets are sold aboard the Orient Express. We arrive in Cologne in, let me see, precisely 15 minutes.
On track 2, Orient Express, leaving in 10 minutes.
As we walked up to the first-class ticket window, a woman elbowed us out of the way.
Please excuse me. You don't mind if I go first, do you? My train for Paris leaves any minute.
Well, in that case, go right ahead.
Thank you. Oh, Hans, finish me.
Where's the Glory?
One to Sarah, Hans. My editor's got me...
She was a reporter, apparently. While waiting for her change, her eyes went past me to the Orient Express, and suddenly they widened. I followed her glance. Mr. John was just stepping back into his compartment.
One moment, Hans. Change this ticket for a sleeper on the Orient Express. Make it Belgrade.
Oh, you are lucky, Miss Warren. There is only one accommodation on the Orient Express. Just a moment there. We were here first. I thought you were going to Paris.
Not when I see Dr. Zinner on the Orient Express.
Dr. Zinner? The man you were looking at was Richard John.
Is that the name he's using now? Oh, thank you, Hans.
Just a moment there. I'm taking that ticket.
My dear, I regret, but the lady asked for it before you did, and she is an old customer. Here's the ticket, Miss Warren.
Who is it? Gregory Myatt, Mr. John. I'd like to talk to you for a moment. May we come in?
Why, yes. Yes, of course. You are feeling better, Miss Musker? You are getting enough rest?
Yes, thanks.
That's why we're here. Miss Musker's taking my compartment, and I'm staying in here with you.
I wish I could oblige, but I prefer my privacy.
Why is that, Dr. Zinner?
My name is Richard John. Where did you hear otherwise?
From a newspaper reporter who saw you in the station at Cologne.
Oh.
I don't know what it's all about, and I don't much care, but Miss Musker is going to have my compartment, and I'm going to move into this one with you. Any objections?
No. In fact, both of you shall stay here with me.
What's the devil?
Gently, Mr. Myatt. He has a gun. I am an excellent shot, believe me.
Quick.
We shall all stay, I insist. Lock the door, Mr. Myatt. That's fine. Now, just who are you, Mr. Myatt?
Who am I?
A police spy here to keep me from getting to Belgrade?
Oh, that's ridiculous.
You surely don't expect me to believe your story about some...
Mr. John. Mr. John.
That sounds like the reporter from Cologne.
Tell her she has made a mistake. Tell her, Myatt.
Go away. You've got the wrong compartment. My name is Myatt.
I'm a reporter. Mabel Warren, London Clarion.
Myatt, put your arm around Miss Musker. Open the door part way, just enough for her to see both of you. I shall be behind the door. And remember, I have a gun.
Oh, you're not the man I'm after, are you?
My name is Myatt. I haven't the slightest idea where you can find your Mr. John.
Well, I'll find him. He's on the Orient Express somewhere. Excuse me for interrupting your, Excuse me for interrupting you. Good night, Mr. Myatt.
Bolt the door, please. Oh, perhaps you really are only an American businessman, Mr. Myatt. In that case, I owe you an explanation. Sit down.
He told us a fantastic story. He was a political exile from his own country. He'd been forced to leave 5 years ago, and now he was going back to lead a rebellion, to overthrow the government by a coup d'etat. And to me, it made very little sense. Had it not been for the gun in his hand, I might have laughed in his face.
If I am captured before this train gets to Belgrade, I will be executed. Once in Belgrade, however, I am safe. I am very popular. I know the city. There are thousands ready to hide me.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Now that you believe we're who we say we are, you could put that gun away. I'll bunk here with you, and Miss Musker can go to my compartment.
I cannot allow that. Among the passengers on this train are many of my countrymen. Some would be loyal if they knew about me, but others would not.
Dr. Zinner will tell no one.
I am sure you would not, intentionally, but it might slip out. No, I cannot permit you to leave this compartment.
I'm warning you, if I can, I'm going to take that gun away from you.
Don't try it, my friend.
You're older than I am, Dr. Zinner. You're tired. Just how long can you stay awake? I sat with Carol on one seat. He was across from us, the revolver in his hand. And it got later and later and later.
I'm tired, Drake.
Now, just close your eyes then, Carol. Are you sleepy, Dr. Zinner? Not yet. This was mine. Carol was asleep on my shoulder. I fought to keep my eyes open, but I dozed off. And then somehow I came awake. I lifted my head. Dr. Zinner was asleep. I reached across and grabbed the gun.
Oh, Greg.
It's all right, Carol. I've got it. Well, Dr. Zinner?
You all right, sir? I tried to stay awake, but...
Stay here, Carol. I'm going to locate the conductor. I'm going to tell him what's been going on.
Oh, no, you must not. I shall never get to Belgrade.
Greg, they'll kill him.
No, we're still outside his country. He won't be hurt.
But if you report me to the conductor, I shall be put off the train.
Well, in short, no harm done. I'll be back soon, Carol. I left the compartment and started down the corridor. I heard a noise behind me, and as I turned, I caught a glimpse of a shadowy figure, one arm raised high above my head. Then the arm swung down, and something hard and heavy crashed against my skull. And I fell into a pool of blackness, and I knew nothing more.
In just a moment, we will return to Escape.
Nobody dies. That might make a good battle cry, but it's just not true. When a person with Social Security coverage dies, his family protection under Social Security includes monthly checks to his widow with minor children. Starting with the month of the insured's death, a check will go to the widow. A separate check will be made out for the children. The widow's payments will continue while the children are under 18 years of age. The widow's payments stop, however, if she remarries or goes to work. Remember, these Social Security benefits are paid in addition to other survivors' checks payable by the Veterans Administration. Have you investigated your Social Security benefits?
And now, with our star, Bill Conrad, we return to the second act of Escape and the Orient Express.
How much later it was when I opened my eyes, I don't know. Whoever had hit me had done an expert job. It might have been Zinner or even Carol. Had no way of knowing. The gun was gone. I dragged myself to my feet and stumbled down the corridor back to compartment number 7, but it was empty. Perhaps they'd moved to my compartment. I hurried to it. No, there was nothing in my compartment. My bags were gone, even my overcoat. Inside, I began to feel a strange, unreasoning fear. Why was it so quiet? Where were all the other passengers? Coming along the entire corridor. I opened every door in the coach. It was completely empty. I felt as if I were going crazy. And I lost consciousness again.
Here, you!
What?
Mister!
What?
Wake up! Wake up!
What? Who are you?
Sir. I am the brakeman.
No? Tell me, what happened to everyone? This coach was full. I got on at Austin. Dozens of people got on at Austin.
Oh, no, sir. This coach is empty. And it comes only from Regensburg.
Regensburg?
Huh?
No, it's from Austin, I tell you. Look. Compartment 8, this was mine. My bags, my overcoat, they were here, and now they've disappeared. Yeah, what was that?
Oh, that is only the switch engine. We're on the yards outside Vienna. This coach is a deadhead. It was put on the Orient Express at Regensburg, and now we take it off.
Deadhead? You mean... No, it's not my coach at all. The regular coaches are...
The Orient Express is in front of us, sir. If you do not want it to leave without you, you had better hurry, sir.
Don't worry, I'll make it. The Orient Express was just getting underway when I dropped off the front of the deadhead. I had plenty of time to run up alongside and swing aboard. I made my way through the train to my coach and knocked on the door of Zinner's compartment. Open up in there.
Who is it?
Gregory Myatt, open the door.
Come in, please.
Lying on the berth, bound and gagged, was the reporter, Miss Warren. And standing beside her, gun in hand, was not Dr. Zinner, but Joseph Brunlich.
You have a very tough skull, Mr. Myatt. I should have hit you a little harder, no?
Where is Carol? Where is Dr. Zinner? Why have you tied up this reporter?
Oh, please, not so fast. First, as to Miss Warren, I have tied her to prevent her from interfering with Dr. Zinner. Had I allowed her to file her newspaper story, Dr. Zinner would never get to Belgrade. I happen to be an ardent follower of Dr. Zinner. I was standing watch last night when you dashed into the corridor, Mr. Myatt. You had this very gun in your hand. You had obviously broken away from Dr. Zinner. Fortunately, I had a blackjack.
Where is Carol and Dr. Zinner?
Do you promise to do nothing to interfere with Dr. Zinner's plan?
I promise nothing.
No, be reasonable. The Orient Express will soon cross the border into my own country. It makes only one stop at the border for passport identification. After that, you are involved no longer. Why be stubborn?
All right, Grundy. I won't interfere.
Mr. Myatt, I thank you. You may go now. Dr. Zinner and Miss Musker are next door in your compartment.
Dr. Zinner was seated on one berth dozing, and Carol lay on the opposite berth fast asleep, traces of tears on her cheeks. She shivered. I covered her with my overcoat, and she woke up.
Gregory, I didn't know where you were.
Go back to sleep.
I searched everywhere. I didn't know what to do. And I came back here. Oh, I was so tired. Dr. Zinner made me go to sleep.
Everything's all right. In a few hours, everything will be fine. Now, close your eyes and go back to sleep. I left the compartment and went to the second-class coach. With both Carol and Grundlich gone, there was space for me. I slept until I was awakened by a Hungarian passport inspector. The train had stopped in a town named Subotica, just inside the border. I showed him my passport. Then I went to the dining car. The breakfast rush was just starting, so I gave a waiter a pound note and had him get me breakfast for two. By the time the Orient Express was 10 minutes out of Subotica, we were going down the corridor, the loaded tray tinkling as the waiter followed me. We arrived at my compartment, but it was empty. No sign of Zinner, no sign of Carol. A torn piece of paper was tucked under the cuff of my overcoat. It was a note. I have left with Dr. Zinner. I'm afraid this is goodbye. Signed, Carol Musker.
Here's the breakfast. Where shall I put the tray?
What?
The breakfast.
Oh. Take it back. I don't want it. I sat near the window and watched the landscape drift past. My suspicions had been right all along. Dr. Zinner had played me for a fool. And so had Carol. After a while, I became conscious of a tapping sound on the wall of my compartment. It kept on, and suddenly I realized that it was coming from the compartment next to mine, someone's heel banging against the wall. It took only a minute to get next door, with Miss Warren, the reporter, all tied and gagged.
Oh, thank goodness. I thought you'd never hear me.
Where's Grundlich? Where are the others?
You mean you don't know what's happened? Zinner's going to be executed.
Executed?
Well, they took him off the train at Subotica. Grundlich arranged the whole thing. He's a government spy.
Can't be.
Well, he is. They're probably holding a drumhead court-martial on Dr. Zinner back in Subotica this minute.
I see. And Carol Musker's a government spy, too?
The girl? No.
She must be. They took her off the train.
Well, they had to. They couldn't have any witnesses.
Well, what will they do with her?
Probably kill her.
But...
Hey, here, what are you doing? You can't jump off. The train's going 60 at least.
I'm going back there.
To Subotica? You're insane.
Look, there's a small town up ahead. I saw it when I leaned out. Some cars are parked at the station. I saw them. I'm going to pull the emergency cord. Take one of those cars.
What can you possibly do in Subotica?
I don't know, but I'll do something.
Go ahead, Mr. Meyer. I'm going with you.
I pulled the emergency cord, and in a matter of seconds, the Orient Express was screeching to a halt right at the station. I flung open the door, and with Miss Warren close behind me, I ran toward the parked cars. Here, you, come here. Do you speak English?
A car, gentlemen, the car very cheap.
I want to go to Subotica.
It's too far, 50 kilometers.
I'll give you 20 pounds.
Wait, get in, gentlemen, get in.
We were at Subotica inside of an hour. I had the driver stop just before we got into the center of town and told him to wait. Miss Warren and I started down the main street.
Mr. Myers, look.
In the doorway of a small restaurant, his back to us, talking to his chef, was Joseph Grundlich. Just keep walking.
All right.
Try to hear what he's saying.
Meal for two people. Have it sent to them. Good one.
Did you hear what he said?
Something about a last meal for 2 people to be taken to the railroad station.
Don't turn your head. Just keep walking. The railroad station platform was empty, so was the ticket office. But through the window, we could see the waiting room, and beyond it was a closed door to a baggage room. There was a large, old-fashioned key in the lock, and standing beside the door was a soldier with a rifle. That's where they must be, in the baggage room. You don't have a gun, I suppose?
No.
Oh, neither do I. The key's in the lock. If I can get to it without the soldiers noticing. We've got to get the soldier away from the door, Miss Warren.
How?
Look, do you see that telephone over there in the far corner?
No.
If we could somehow get the soldier over the telephone, his view of the baggage room door would be cut off.
Yeah.
Look, that'll be your job, Miss Warren.
Mine?
Go into the waiting room and up to the telephone booth. Smile at the soldier as you go by. Then pretend you're having some trouble with the phone. Appeal to him for help.
Right.
When he joins you at the phone booth, keep him occupied while I go in and let him out.
But he might look around.
Just talk to him. Center and Carol and I will try to make the car.
You'll have to hurry. Go look in that last meal may be here any minute.
We'll hurry, all right. Through the grimy window, I watched as Miss Warren crossed the waiting room to the telephone, smiling at the soldier. She left the booth and walked over to him. Couldn't hear what they were saying. She smiled at him again, putting her hand on his arm. They went over to the booth. He took a deep breath and entered the waiting room. I could hear them talking as I started toward the baggage room.
It's so nice of you to help.
Oh, lovely. Yes, I'm glad to. What number do you wish?
Oh, yes.
Carol.
That's the number. Oh, here, I have it right in my...
Carol.
Gregory.
Shh. No noise. Dr. Zenner, Carol, go to the station platform. No noise. Come on.
Oh, no, but I heard about you. I didn't know.
We started back toward the open door that led to the station platform. We went out slowly, not making a sound. Miss Warren was still talking to the soldier, and then suddenly their voices stopped. I glanced back. The soldier's gun had fallen to the floor. He was kissing Miss Warren. We got out to the platform, and I shut the door quietly. All right, follow me. The car's 2 blocks away.
What about her?
She's a reporter. They won't dare touch her. Now, come on.
All right.
In a few moments, the station was behind us. The car was only a block away now. And we turned the corner, and walking toward us, not 10 feet away, was Joseph Grundlich, and a waiter from the restaurant. Before he could collect his wits, I ran at him. He crumpled to the ground. Then I hit the waiter. All right, run for it. All right. Grundlich fired a few shots at us, but hit no one. And then we were in the car, and he fired at us no longer.
What deal? Orient Express, all aboard.
Goodbye, Dr. Zenner. You sure you won't come along?
No, I stay here in Belgrade. I shall be all right now, thanks to you. Goodbye, Mr. Myers.
Goodbye. Hello.
Hello.
You, mind if I sit down?
No, not at all.
Well, we'll be in Istanbul tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. A day late. You know, I probably lost that chorus job.
Have any idea what you'll do then?
Oh, I think so. I have an idea.
Yeah. So have I. A very good idea. Come here.
Escape is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Today we have presented transcribed Orient Express by Graham Greene, adapted for radio by Sheldon Stark and Walter Newman, with editorial supervision by John Dunkel. Starred as Gregory Myatt was Bill Conrad. Featured players were Edgar Barrier, Hans Conried, Gloria Grant, Harry Bartell, Ann Morrison, Jack Crucian, and John Boehner. The special music was arranged and played by Ivan Ditmars. Next week...
You were alone in the steaming jungle with 3 men. You know that one of them is a desperate criminal, a man you've come here to arrest. But you don't know which one. You'll have to find him before he can save himself by killing you.
Next week, we escape with L.G. Blockman's exciting tale of a manhunt, Redwine.
Escape has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Fed up with the everyday grind? Tired out by the dull routine? You want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, transcribed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
You're alone in the jungle with three men. You know that one of them is a desperate criminal whom you've come to arrest, but you don't know which one. You have to find him before he can save himself by killing you.
Today we escape from reality into the depths of a tropical jungle in a tantalizing search for a murder, as L.G. Blockman told it in his famous story, Redwine.
Rusty little tramp freighter bumped against the rickety wharf, and I dropped from the rail onto the planking. For the first time, felt the humid heat roll out of the jungle. This was Tanjong Samar, sweltering, half forgotten, last outpost on the rubber coast of Borneo. I crossed the beach and walked up the path of crushed shells leading to a low bungalow at the edge of the jungle. The freighter would lie at the wharf for 4 hours. Plenty of time for me to get the thing over with and be back aboard when she sailed. I was expecting trouble, of course, but no real danger. I'd done jobs like this before, or at least I thought this would be the same. I thought so until I stepped up on the porch and met Herr Kurt, controller of the Tanjong Samar district.
Yeah, I'm Herr Kurt, the controller. What is it I can do for you?
My name's Paul Vernier, Mr. Kurt. I have a letter of introduction here from the Governor General. There you are.
It's the Paul Vernier from the United States.
Yeah, the governor promised me your cooperation.
So I see. Cooperation is good, but it does not say cooperation in what?
I've come here after a killer, Mr. Kurt.
Oh? Dayaks, maybe? Headhunters?
No, this one's a civilized killer. An American wanted in San Francisco for murdering his wife. His name is Jerome Speaks.
I see. Won't you sit down, Mr. Vernier? Won't give him your call. He died in Jeffrey.
Check one. I'll bring right away.
We'll have coffee in a moment.
Oh, nice of you, but maybe I better pick this guy up first. I'd hate to miss the boat and have to lay over 5 days.
You're acquainted with this Steeks, Mr. Rainier?
No, I've never seen him.
You have photographs?
Wait, not. No fingerprints. Now, this happened 2 years ago. Until last month, we had it listed as a double suicide. Oh, what are you driving at, Mr. Kurt?
Simply this. There's no one in my district by the name of Steeks.
No, he wouldn't be using his own name, of course. There is an American here, though.
3 of them, Mr. Rainier. Employed as foreman on the Kota rubber plantation here at Tanjong Samar.
According to my information, Steeks came here from Batavia about 6 months ago.
They all arrived 6 months ago on the same boat. The Kota company is just going back into operation, you understand?
I see. Well, according to people who have seen him, Jerome Steeks is a man about 35 years old, of medium height, slight build, pale complexion with black hair and mustache.
Amazing. Any one of these men might fit that description, except that all are clean-shaven and heavily tanned from the tropical sun. Furthermore, Mr. Familia, all 3 of the men have light blonde hair. Good. Pour 2 cups. I won't bring your baggage up from the wharf, Mr. Familia. It appears your business may take a little longer than 4 hours.
I'm certain of the information I got in Batavia. I know the man's here.
Then the problem resolved itself into a matter of identification.
Yeah, an hour's talk with the 3 of them ought to do that.
I doubt that, Mr. Familia. The swarms here at Tanjong Samar are infested with fever. Cream. It is always hot, like now. And the jungles back there swarm with krites.
Krites?
A deadly little snake no longer in your forearm. There you are. And in the rivers, there are crocodiles.
So?
Men rarely come here unless they are running away from something, trying to lose their past. I think you'll find all 3 men have manufactured stories. So, I was want to choose.
Well, sometimes a man can be identified by his personality.
And the personality of this man Steeks is something out of the ordinary.
Well, a foreman on a rubber plantation, yes. I doubt if all 3 of these men can be aristocrats. And in a sense, well, that's what Steeks is, a cosmopolitan. He's lived all around the world, always associating with top society. He's a lover of fine foods and wine, speaks French and German fluently.
What's wrong?
Well, he's a gourmet, a bon vivant, a man of perfect taste in clothes and manners.
And a murderer.
Yeah, and a murderer.
Yeah, well, when the 3 men return this evening, I shall be most happy to introduce you to them, though it's quite probable they are aware of your identity already. My houseboy there told me you were a detective before you stepped off the wharf.
Oh, I see. So, in other words, the murderer probably knows who I am and what I'm here for, but I haven't the slightest idea who he is.
Exactly. It's quite an interesting thought, isn't it? More coffee, Mr. Familia? Mr. Vanier, I should like you to meet Mr. Doran.
Hi, Mr. Vanier.
Hi, this is Mr. Wainwrighting.
Mr. Vanier.
My name's Prale. Glad to meet you.
Same here, Mr. Prale.
Might as well drop the mister. We don't use it much around here. I'm Prale. That's Doran. That's Wilmerding. You're Vanier, if it's all the same to you.
Sure, Prale. Why not?
Now, here you gentlemen will excuse me. I have a number of things to do. Will you bring Mr. Vanier to my bungalow for dinner? We'll celebrate having a guest in Tanjong Samar. Yeah?
Sure.
We'll see you.
Herr Kurt tells me all 3 of you are Americans.
I don't know whether I'm still one or not. Haven't been to the States in 7 years.
Oh, 7 years, huh? And you're an old-timer here, Doran.
No, not here. Australia. Don't get him started, Vanier. He'll spend 2 hours telling you how he lost his shirt trying to raise sheep down there. If I had either money or sense, I wouldn't have come to this stinking hole.
Oh, I wouldn't say you fellas had it too rough. I've been noticing those empty bottles there on the shelf.
What do you mean, Vanier?
Paul Masson, 1936. That's good champagne. You boys are living like connoisseurs.
Oh, no, you're overrating us, Vanier. Those empty bottles were already here when we came.
Oh?
Just never got around to throwing them out. Prale is the only connoisseur in the bunch. He can tell you anything you want to know about wines. Yeah. Or about anything.
Dry up. Just because a guy happens to know a little more than somebody else, there's no reason to keep riding him all the time.
We should use some way to make ice. Getting plenty fed up with warm beer day in and day out.
Yeah, that would get pretty tiresome. I think I'd switch to Chambertin or Chablis or something.
Come again?
Well, I didn't necessarily mean those in particular, but there are quite a number of wines that are even better warm than they are chilled.
No, you're in the wrong place, chum. We wouldn't know what to do with them if we had them. This is strictly a beer and gin crowd.
Well, there'd be no kick on that if we had some ice to go with it.
Oh, what I wouldn't give for a cold, frosty bottle.
Oh, relax, will you, Wilmerding? You're making me thirsty. How about some music?
Music? Does one of you play some instrument?
Sure, Crail. He's terrific on that phonograph over there in the corner.
Oh.
Only trouble is he thinks 3 o'clock in the morning is the greatest song ever written.
Well, I can see that would lead to quite an argument, Doran. Particularly if you're a lover of the classics.
No, I don't go for that long hair stuff. Oh. But I would like to hear a fast number once in a while that's less than 10 years old.
Yeah, you ought to see this collection Frail dragged up here from Batavia. Strictly from the gay 90s.
Frail, you don't by any chance have a number called Il mérite dans cette maison?
Yeah, some Italian opera.
Oh, no, it's French.
Well, come on, Braille, translate it for us. You claim to be an expert on the French language.
Oh, it's worded kind of funny, like poetry.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, the last word, though, maison, that means house, I know that.
Well, that's too bad. I thought maybe Jerome Steeks might translate it. It refers to him, of course.
What are you talking about?
The sentence reads, there is a murderer in this house.
Huh?
Well, so you're finally coming out in the open, huh?
Yeah. We heard you were a detective, Vernier.
You're after some killer you've never seen named Steeks. You figure one of us is it.
That's right, Pale.
And the guy you're after is Wilmerding.
Are you crazy?
Who ever heard of anybody with a name like Wilmerding unless they made it up?
Made up nothing. I got a passport to prove it. What are you trying to do, Frail? Turn attention away from yourself?
I got nothing to hide. It's either you or Duran.
You can leave me out of this right now. There's plenty of people in Australia who can tell you who I am.
Unfortunately, though, there's nobody in Tanjong-Samar who can tell me for certain who any of you are. One of you is a murderer, and by the time the boat gets back here, I'll know which one. Either I'm going to take Jerome Steeks back to San Francisco, or I'm going to kill him trying to. You can count on it. Well, what do you say we go on over to Kurt's bungalow and have dinner,
That's Wilmerding's room there. Doran sleeps here. And Praylon down at the end. And this is the guest room.
Oh.
At least the only guest room that's usable at present.
Looks all right.
Well, it's yours for the time you're here, Mr. Vernier.
Or do all of these rooms open out onto the porch?
Yes, the veranda, as we call it here.
And there's no way to lock this door?
Unfortunately, no. Anyway, the windows are covered only by mosquito netting. It makes another interesting situation, does it not?
Yeah, I suppose interesting is the word for it.
Most likely all these gentlemen are acting to a greater or lesser extent, which of course makes your problem exceedingly difficult.
Yeah, that's right. Mr. Kurt, you did say a man rarely came here unless he wanted to lose his past. And yet, you're here.
Yeah. That is true. But then, I'm only a servant of the government and have little choice when I'm here. No? Well, good night, Mr. Vernier.
Good night, Mr. Kurt.
I trust you'll have a very comfortable night.
Thank you. I sat there for a long time after Kurt left, trying to figure things out, getting nowhere. This was Borneo. And though the Coleman lantern on the table at my elbow threw a blaze of white light into every corner of the room, outside that light lay the dark veranda, and beyond that, the jungle. Gradually, the night breeze brought the smell of the jungle into the room, as rich and as exotic as the scent of taboo, fragrant as midnight orchid, as disturbing as the scent of danger. Or maybe it was danger itself I was smelling. Oh, the heavy knife missed my throat by 2 inches. Thudded into the bamboo partition and stuck there, quivering. I doused the lamp in one sweep, dropped down on the floor, and slid my .38 out of its holster. I could hear nothing but the rustle of palm thatch along the eaves, low creaks from the pilings underneath the bungalow, the soft night sounds from the jungle. Finally, I slipped my shoes off, pulled the knife out of the wall, and dropped it in my pocket. Moved to the door and stepped quietly out onto the veranda. It was empty. Across the railing, the fringe of undergrowth was dappled in silver moonlight. Nothing moved. I paused quickly at the 3 doors, and from each heard the sound of snoring. One of the men was faking, but which one? I'd reached the end of the porch when my eye caught a slight movement in the banana clump a few yards from the steps. Someone was hiding there. I moved swiftly, holding the gun ready. Came within a few feet before I could make out a shape in a red and white sarong, complete with dark, tumbled curls and a flower behind one ear. It was a girl.
Please, Tuan, the gun. You are going to shoot me?
No, relax, honey. I was looking for somebody else.
Oh. And now you have found Melana, so you are disappointed?
Well, look, did you see anybody moving around up there on the veranda a while ago?
Only you, Tuan. I became frightened and ran to hide.
Frightened? Why?
I should not be here. At night, I mean. Oh, let us talk of something else, huh?
All right, Melana.
Tuan, do you like Melana, perhaps?
Definitely.
Why do we not go somewhere else? Along the beach, perhaps? You would like that?
Mr. Meneer is too serious-minded for such things, Melana.
Oh, Meneer.
Well, Mr. Kirk, join us, won't you?
Thank you. Melana, go to the bungalow at once.
Yes, Meneer. Yes, I go. I go immediately.
She has no business being out alone at night. But, Mr. Fenier, is something wrong with your room? It's not comfortable?
It was, until this flew in through the window.
A knife?
Yeah, a throwing knife. Ever see it before?
Oh, yeah. It's one of the collections there in the bungalow. The Americans throw them at targets every evening and wager on the results. I believe Mr. Doran taught the other 2.
What about you, Mr. Kurt? Do you ever bet with them?
It would be too easy. Watch.
Well,
I learned to throw a knife in Java many years ago.
And Melana, I suppose she's an expert at it, too.
Melana knows nothing of knives. Her greatest accomplishment is that of making friends too easily.
I see. Just who is she, anyway? Does she live here?
Yeah, she lives here. She is my wife.
Your wife?
Exactly. My wife. Good night, Mr. Fenier.
When I finally turned in that night, I didn't make the mistake of lighting the lantern again. Being a target once in an evening was enough. I undressed in the dark, pushed the bed up to block the door, propped a chair against the windowsill, and lay down on the floor. I kept trying to fit some theory together to account for the things that had happened. When I drifted off to sleep, I was no nearer any answer than before. I woke up with the first light of dawn. For a full minute, was ready to predict a peaceful day. And then I turned my head slightly and saw it. On the floor, against the wall, 18 inches from my left hand, its eyes open and unmoving, lay a krite, first cousin to the cobra, the deadliest snake in Borneo. Cold sweat broke out on my forehead, ran into the corners of my eyes. Not daring to make any sudden move, I slid my right hand slowly up behind me and found my gun under the pillow. The snake moved slightly. I froze for one long minute. Carefully, I brought the gun over until I had the ugly head centered above the foresight. Then...
Who fired the shot?
I did, Kurt, in here.
Hey, Kurt, what are you shooting about? I don't know.
Fenier, all right.
Oh, sure, Kurt. Come on in. I had an early morning visitor there on the floor.
God, Krite! Did he bite you?
No,
What the devil told the racket about?
Snake. It's funny.
What's funny, Duran?
A krite, Wilmerding. Just killed one here in my room.
Well, there's plenty of them around, but I never heard of one crawling into a room before.
I'm not sure it did crawl in.
What do you mean?
I've got an idea it may have been dropped in through the mosquito netting there at the window.
Yeah? By whom?
By a guy named Jerome Steeks. Ever hear of him, Duran?
Why don't you pick up Wilma Ding? He's your man.
Oh, sure. I always carry a couple of snakes around in my pocket just for luck.
What I want to know is who carries this around in their pocket for luck.
It's one of our knives in the living room. We throw them at a target.
Yeah, I know. Only last night I was the target.
And Prail's your boy. He's an expert. Wins every time we play.
Dry up, Duran.
Listen, young man.
Relax, all of you.
All right.
So nobody knows anything about these accidents. They just happen. But here's a warning to whichever one of you is Steeks. The next time, you better cover yourself. I'm through being a clay pigeon. From now on, it's going to be a lot tougher. A whole lot tougher. That day passed. The next. I got exactly nowhere. Things didn't fit. Didn't add up. I saw Nelana several times, but had no chance to speak to her. When Herr Kurt was with me, she'd pass without a glance. But if I was alone, she'd manage a quick, provocative smile that sent shivers down my spine. By the fourth day, the tension among us had grown almost unbearable. The steamer was due the next evening on its return trip to Batavia. I needed a break of some kind, had to have one. Well, it came at dusk when I dropped into my room to change for dinner.
Tuan.
Huh?
It is I, Nelana.
Nelana, what the devil are you doing here?
To see you, Tuan. Does that make you unhappy?
No, but I doubt if Herr Kurt would think much of the idea.
Oh, no, he must not find out. That is why I hide here and wait for you.
But he may walk in here any moment.
That is true, Tuan. It is why I cannot stay now. But I wish something to ask you.
All right, honey, shoot.
It is true that you look for a man who has killed a woman in your United States?
Yeah, that's right.
A man who now names himself by another name?
Yes, no, but
It
you know...
is perhaps the same one who one night threw the knife at you?
Yeah, I think so. Do you know who it is?
I saw the knife thrown, Tuan. I was outside.
Oh, be quiet.
Oh, it is someone.
Yeah, it's Herr Kurt. Oh. He's going into the living room.
But he will come here when he does not find you. Oh, I'm very frightened, Tuan. I must go.
Oh, no, wait. I've got to
No,
know.
no. There's no time now. Tonight, when everyone sleeps, wait by the tall palm at the edge of the clearing. I will come.
All right, I'll be there.
Nelana has done foolish things, Tuan. But tonight she will fix it all good. You come.
I waited for a long time in the shadow by the palm tree. Watched the moonlight sift down through the shaggy fronds. But 2 hours passed. She didn't come. Waiting there, though, in the jungle night, a plan began to form in my mind. A long shot, true enough, but one with possibilities. It needed luck to work, but I'd come to the point where I had to count on a little luck. At any rate, I decided to start the ball rolling the next morning, after breakfast.
Now, wait a minute, Vernier. Let's get this straight.
I thought I put it straight enough, Duran. I said the hunt's off. I'm pulling out on that boat tonight. You can all relax.
Yeah, but 5 days ago you were so cockeyed sure it was one of us. How come the switch?
5 days ago, Wilma Ding, I didn't know you guys. I was certain of the information I picked up in Batavia. And I'm not so certain of it now.
What changed your mind? A sweet disposition?
No, exactly the opposite, Frail. No, I doubt very much if any of you guys is who he claims to be. I wouldn't be surprised if Duran, Wilma Ding, and Prail are all phony names, but that's not my business. I came here after Steeks. I've decided now I made a mistake, and that's that.
Wait a minute. Aren't you forgetting the fact that somebody tried to knock you off a couple of times?
Well, let's just say the reason for that was a side issue. Had nothing to do with Steeks.
You come in here, push us around for a week, and then decide it was all a mistake.
I'm sorry, Prail. And look, I'm going to try to make up for it this evening. I'm throwing a dinner party at Herr Kurt's bungalow before the boat leaves tonight. You're all invited.
Yeah, now that's pretty decent of you, Vernier.
I'll get some food and drinks from the captain as soon as he docks. If you're as fed up with Reistoffel and warm beer as I am, you'll be ready for a change.
Sure is all right with me.
Good. And it's all settled. And I can promise you at least 2 surprise dishes. Maybe 3 if you care.
Beg your pardon, gentlemen.
Oh, Herr Kurt, come on in.
I was wondering if any of you had seen Nelana this morning.
Well, what's wrong, Kurt?
I'm rather concerned about her, Mr. Vernier. She has not been home since early last night.
I had a couple of ideas about that myself. Ideas I wished I didn't have. Anyway, as soon as the rest of the bunch went about their business, I began my own search for Nilana. I didn't know the country, and it was nearly dusk before I found her. Then I said nothing about it to anyone. But sitting at the table that night while the dinner party moved along, I was seeing everything through a haze of red. The same color as the red in the sarong wrapped around the slim figure of the beautiful girl. I kept thinking how she'd never smile anymore, how she'd never walk in the moonlight again, because somebody had cut her throat.
I know a story along the same lines. I never heard that one before.
What a dinner. Oh, after 6 months of rice stuff, I like to go crazy of it. Yeah, when you throw one, Vernier, you really throw it. That's right.
This is only the beginning.
Beginning? Where can you go from here?
Well, right now, for instance, roast pheasant. All right, Wong, bring it over.
Sure, Tuan. Right away, I bring. Would you like for me to put here for you to carve, Tuan?
No. I wonder if you'd mind carving it, Kurt.
Not at all, Mr. Vernier. I should be happy to place it here, Wong.
Boy, I haven't had a roast pheasant since Australia. We used to shoot them all the time.
Even the smell's enough to drive you crazy.
You said it, player.
Oh, you haven't seen anything yet. The pheasant is the main dish, so the two surprises go right along with it. Wong, bring it out.
Sure, Tuan. I bring right away now.
Careful, don't drop it. There we are. Thanks. Well, there you are. It's Chambertin, vintage 1911. Unquestionably the finest red wine that exists in the world today.
Holy smoke, where'd you get it?
Oh, I found out on the trip in. The captain of the steamer had a few bottles. Took a lot of talking to get one out of him, but I'll open it, Wong. Have you got the glasses?
Here, Tuan.
Good. Well, boys, you may go back to warm beer tomorrow, but you got the best tonight. Now, Wong, show him the second surprise.
One big bucket ice.
Ice! Real honest to gosh, cracked ice. Oh, I haven't seen a chunk of ice for 6 months.
Oh, I thought you'd go for that one. All right, Wong, serve the wine, will you?
Sure, Tuan.
You know, it was pretty amazing to find 1911 Chambertin on a little tramp freighter down here in the South Pacific. The stuff's so rare, it's hard to get at any price anymore.
Maybe so, but that ice is what gets me.
Yeah, that's it, Wong. Dump plenty in mine.
Oh, Wong, stop that. What the devil are you...
What's the matter, Wilmerding?
What I mean is...
You mean you're well aware of the fact that ice kills the bouquet of Chambertin? Isn't that it? Steaks?
Steaks? You mean Wilmerding?
Yes. Once a gourmet, always a gourmet. A crook with enough sense to keep his hair dyed black for years so he could become a natural blonde if he ever had to make a getaway. But not enough sense to keep still and let me ruin a bottle of wine. Hey, easy with those hands. Don't try reaching for a gun.
Let him reach what, Mr. Vernier?
Kurt, no. Put down that knife.
Look out, Vernier. Go for his gun.
Kurt. Good Lord, Kurt, you've killed him.
I'm sorry you do not have our prisoner to take back with you, Mr. Vernier. But I, too, found her body. I knew you had been there. I saw your footprints.
I'm sorry, Kurt. And she
had been seeing Wilmerding. I had guessed it was one of them. And apparently she found out he was Steaks.
Yeah, I know. That's what she was going to tell me, only he didn't give her a chance.
She was young, Mr. Vernier. Foolish, perhaps. But I loved her very much.
Hey, look. He knocked over that bottle of wine. It's pouring out all over the place.
Yeah. Brother, what a mess.
Yeah, Dorian. It's quite a mess. Only one thing, though. Not all of it is red wine.
Escape is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Today, we have presented transcribed Red Wine by L.G. Blockman, adapted for radio by Mort Lewis and Les Crutchfield, with editorial supervision by John Dunkel. Starred as Paul Vernier was Jeff Chandler, with Barry Kroger as Herr Kurt. Featured players were David Ellis, Lou Krugman, Jack Crucian, and Lorette Philbrand. Goodbye, then, until this same time next week, when once again CBS offers you Escape.
Rice Chex and Wheat Chex, the bite-sized cereals in the red and white checkerboard packages, present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy are approaching a hideout near the Saturn City spaceport where two criminals are plotting a getaway. Ray guns in hand, the Space Patrollers burst through the door.
All right, both of you, get your hands up. Hold it, Barris. You heard the commander. Move away from that table, Kent. Move fast.
Sure.
Now, Corey, this is a blaster. Drop that ray gun. Don't be a fool, Kent. You're through. You haven't got a chance.
You fire, so will I. And remember, a blaster is permanent. We'll return in just a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, the Counterfeit Atom. Space Patrol, it's getting kind of late, and I'm getting kind of hungry. Hey, let's take time out for a big bowl full of Rice Chex.
Swell, Captain Tito. Rice Chex. Tops with me.
Tops with me, too, Space Patroller, and it'll be tops with you, gang. Tops three ways. For taste, for size, for get up and go. There's one. And there's one for me. Space Patrollers, when you fill up your own bowls with those neat triple toasted shredded rice biscuits, you're getting one spoonful after another of the easiest, tastiest, bite-sized eating ever. Because Rice Chex are tops for taste and size. Tops for get up and go, too. Why, mornings after you finish off a good, nourishing breakfast with Rice Chex, you're ready to swing into action.
If you like whole wheat, try Wheat Chex. It's tops, too.
Yes, look for Rice Chex and Wheat Chex in the red and white checkerboard packages with the picture of Commander Corey or Cadet Happy on the outside.
Rice Chex.
Wheat Chex. And now today's Space Patrol adventure, the Counterfeit Atom. All over the solar system, dealers and collectors of precious stones are alarmed over the mysterious disappearance of several valuable gems. Losses have been reported by jewelers and private collectors on Earth, Mercury, and Mars. The latest victim is the Terra Gem Company. Local agents are completely baffled, so Commander Corey has personally taken over the investigation. With Cadet Happy, Buzz is in the vault of the Terra Gem Company, questioning the manager, Doran Chandray.
You're absolutely positive, Mr. Chandray, that those two diamonds are the only... But I almost wish the thieves had seen that half the world and left those two stones. The combined value is more than $1,000,000. You used the word thieves. Couldn't the diamonds have been mislaid instead of stolen? Oh, no. I placed them in the vault myself last night.
But there's no sign that the vault was broken into. And you told us that you were here this morning when the time lock opened it.
Yes, I know. Of course, there are custom with these dealers out there handling costly gems. We don't mislay stones of that value.
Oh, who besides yourself has handled those gems?
Several persons. All of complete respectability, you may be sure. And always within my presence.
And except when they're in the vault, the stones were never out of your sight.
No. Well, that's not exactly true. I permitted 3 persons to retain them for a few hours for a private inspection.
Potential buyers of them.
Yes.
Of course, they all returned the gems.
To me personally. And they were thoroughly tested.
To be sure that no imitations have been switched on?
Exactly. I can assure you the real gems went back into the...
Mr. Chandray, I want the names and a complete description of everyone who showed an interest in those stones. This case of yours follows the same pattern as the other disappearances. In the absence of clues, we'll have to start with the men who were interested in those diamonds.
All right, Commander. If you come into the office, I'll give you all the information.
In an expensive suite at the Terra Hotel, a dignified, distinguished-looking man sits under a bright light, examining a large diamond through a magnifying glass. His companion nervously toys with a smaller stone, then finally speaks.
Let's put them away, Kent. Looking at them isn't going to make them any bigger.
This one is truly magnificent, Ferris. What a shame to have to break it up.
We'd better get off town. Chandray has probably discovered he's been robbed by now.
Robbed? All we can be sure of is that his diamonds have vanished. There's nothing to implicate me or you. Now that we're leaving anyway. The jeweler in Jupiter City has some gems in which I'm interested.
Gems?
Yes, Ferris, something on your mind?
I was wondering. This machine of ours, could we make just as much money by using it legitimately?
You're not suggesting that our operation is illegal. Isn't it? There's no law against using our equipment. Because no one but us knows it exists. So I borrow trouble. Now run along, Ferris. Get our machine aboard our spaceship. I want it ready for use when I reach Jupiter City.
Back in Space Patrol headquarters, Buzz and Happy carefully go through all the data available on the strange disappearances of jewels. After hours of checking and cross-checking, the commander points to a ruled chart.
Putting all the cases together, Matt, there are only 2 factors in town.
Yes, sir? The disappearances have occurred with firms that had advertised an exhibition of a particularly valuable piece of jewelry, a famous collection.
And what's the other?
I've been checking to see if any name occurs more than once among the lists of prospective buyers. 2 of the names Chandray gave me appear twice. There's another gets taken on Mercury and Mars.
That means that some of these men have shown up at more than one jewelry store.
That's to be expected. The wealthy collector might have a hobby of traveling around inspecting gems. Happy, here's one name that appears on all the lists.
James Kent.
Kent has always asked to examine the gems privately. He's always returned them or bought them. In some cases, other persons handle the jewels after Kent give them back to the jeweler.
Maybe someone Kent trusts goes around with them, they get the line on the gems, and steals them later.
Except that still leaves a mystery of how the gems disappear.
But the only thing to do is have an agent follow Kent and see who hangs around him.
There's one strange thing about Kent. Possibly it's due to a faulty memory on part of the jewelers, but no 2 descriptions quite match.
Oh, but these jewelers must know him, or they wouldn't let him take the stone.
Kent has excellent credentials. Appears to be quite wealthy. He's staying at the Terra Hotel, checking out. He has reservations on a passenger ship to Jupiter City.
Jupiter City? Hey, we're due there for an inspection. The actual crook must be a magician. All those jewelers insist the gems were locked in their vaults.
I'm going to alert the biggest jewelry firms in Jupiter City to notify Space Patrol headquarters and to let out any really valuable articles on exclusive. I'm going to install a special detecting device in their vaults. All right, Hap, let's clear up this routine so we can blast off for Jupiter. 24 hours later, in one of the finest rooms of the Hotel Jupiter, James Kent and Ferris examine an array of jewels.
Interesting assortment, Ferris. However, we'll settle for the emerald necklace.
But, Kent, that doesn't make sense. It's going to take a long time to duplicate each one of those stones. The 3 big rubies are worth more. I can take them out in half an hour.
Yes, but the emeralds are smaller. I can easily dispose of them separately without cutting. The rubies would be a problem.
It's a shame to let them go.
Just take the emeralds, Ferris. Have you finished the job in 2 hours?
Yeah, good. You know, Kent, I wish we could perfect that thing so it would duplicate currency. Then we wouldn't have to go through all this hocus pocus with the jewelry outfit.
Currency is too complicated. The plant fiber that's the basis of the paper is organic material. And that means a complex molecular structure.
Those coins came out very well.
Sure, but nobody ever got rich counterfeiting coins. So right now, gems are our best bets. We can transform energy into minerals and metals. With a real gem for a model, we can easily turn out exact duplicates atom by atom.
It's too bad our imitations don't last.
They last long enough for our purpose. Well, you better get going, Ferris. I want to get the counterfeit necklace and the real rubies back to the Imperial Jewelry Company before closing time.
Late that night, Buzz and Happy are at the Jupiter City Space Patrol headquarters, preparing a report on an inspection when a call comes from Special Agent Edwards, assigned to duty at the Imperial Jewelry Company. Rushing to the store, they're admitted by Edwards and walk through a dimly lit showroom to a huge vault.
Edwards, you're sure no one beside yourself was in the building?
No, Commander. I was hiding out in the back room with the portable receiver turned on. Somebody had lit up, so I rushed to the vault. Vault door is closed. Yes, sir. As far as I can tell, it hasn't been tampered with. Well, then what made the receiver light up?
Something must have happened inside the vault. Detectives are sensitive enough to register any slight movement or change in temperature. Transmitted the signal to Edwards' receiver. You could open the vault now, Edwards. I cut off the master time clock control at headquarters after I got your call. All right,
Oh, it's swinging open.
Edwards, do you have a list of the jewels that have been checked out of the store? Yes, sir. I got it from the manager when he closed up. Everything's been returned. I watched the manager when he put them in the vault to be sure it was all counted. Let's check it over. All the stuff that anyone asked to inspect is all right there on that page just as you ordered, see? All right, Edwards, let's take inventory. Three star sapphire rings here. Rudy, they're the most valuable items. Thank goodness they're here. Who had them out? James Kent. We also have a necklace. Gone. A necklace? Should have noticed that right away. Who had the necklace?
Well, if the emerald necklace is gone, why not the rubies and those other jewels?
How do we know for sure that no one entered the vault? We've really got a mystery in our hands.
Could the emeralds have just disintegrated?
Evidently they did. The detective registered their disappearance.
But why emeralds this time and diamonds another? And always the jewels that have been out on approval.
James Kent is the only constant factor in the whole problem. But I don't see how he could have any more to do with this than he did.
Oh, how about that man that called on him at the Hotel Jupiter? This guy Ferris.
Ferris seems to work at a machine shop on Kepler Street. One of our agents placed him here. Well, we've got to start somewhere. Edwards, you go to the Hotel Jupiter and get a line on James Kent. Yes, sir. Perhaps you and I'll drive over to Kepler Street and see if we can find Ferris.
In the back part of a darkened machine shop on Kepler Street, Ferris worked swiftly under a dim light, unbolting a small, compact machine from the concrete floor. He is intent upon his work as he hears the back door open.
That you can. I'll be finished here in a minute. Then we... What's the idea?
Working pretty late, aren't you, Ferris?
Sure. Anything wrong with being industrious?
That depends on what you're being industrious about. Isn't this an odd time to be removing machinery?
Well, this is my machine, and I got a right to be in this shop. Any more questions?
Yes. When you heard us come in, you thought it was someone named Kent. James Kent?
No, Charlie Kent. One of the fellows in the shop. He promised to come back and give me a hand.
By the way, what kind of a machine is that? What does it do?
Yes, I'd like to know.
Well, it's a small electronic furnace, purifies metal. You put the sample in this chamber here. Then you turn on the current, and the induction coil around the chamber produces an intense heat inside the metal.
Commander, look out! Pat, watch Ferris.
Kent. Close call.
Let's get this machine out of here before they recover from the ray gun blast.
So what if they come out of it before we're finished?
In that case, Ferris, well, this machine shop is a veritable treasure house of fatal accidents.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment. This is Dick Tutel reporting on America's most heavily armed fighter interceptor, the Northrop Air Force Scorpion F-89D. In a moment, we'll hear from the test pilot on this plane, Bob Love, Korean jet ace with a record of 6 MiGs in 6 weeks. The primary job of the Scorpion is to protect our country from invading aircraft. Speed more than 600 miles per hour. Weight 20 tons. Now, Bob Love, recorded at Edwards Air Force Base.
You know, a fella has to be in top condition to test fly a fast aircraft such as a Scorpion. That's why I always make it a rule. Sleep well and eat well. So, for breakfast, I pick a cereal like Rice Chex or Wheat Chex. They're chock full of energy and really taste good. You'll like them.
Make sure you stay in condition the way Bob Love, Phil Houghton, and other top test pilots do. Every morning, eat a good, nourishing breakfast with Rice Chex or Wheat Chex. The cereals that are tops 3 ways. Tops for taste, for size, and for real get up and go. That's Chex, rice, or wheat. Remember, they're tops with America's top pilots. And now back to our Space Patrol adventure, the Counterfeit Atom. James Kent, posing as a legitimate collector of rare gems, has stolen millions of credits worth of jewels from reputable dealers without even revealing his method of operation. Borrowing real gems, he places them in a machine that can duplicate minerals atom by atom by transforming energy into a temporary form of matter. Kent and his accomplice, Ferris, keep the original gems and return the copies, which in a short time revert back to energy. Following a thin lead, Buzz and Happy apprehend Ferris in a machine shop in Jupiter City. But James Kent takes the space patrollers by surprise and renders them unconscious with a ray gun. Right now, as the effects of the ray gun wear off, Buzz and Happy get to their feet.
Now they're gone, sir. And so's that machine.
I had no terrace again anyway, but never got a good look at King.
Neither did I. I saw him for a second as he left us, and his face was in the shadow. Say, Commander, that machine must tie in with the jewel theft. But how?
I don't know.
Maybe Kent treats the gems with something when he borrows them, and then later he turns on that machine, and radiations make the stones disappear.
And the question is, do the gems reappear inside the machine?
Sounds fantastic, but... Well, unless Kent and Ferris actually got the jewels, there wouldn't be any point in them making them disappear from the vaults.
There's at least one more principle to it. But we'll go into that later. Let's get back to headquarters and send out an alert on Ferris and Kent.
The two jewel thieves are now in a private cruiser, outward bound from Jupiter, in a vector calculated to avoid a regular space lane.
That experience of the machine shall not convince you, Kent. The Space Patrol and the gem dealers are wise to us.
Not necessarily.
I still say the jewelry racket is finished. Let's take a shot at duplicating currency. Maybe it'll pass.
If you like the job of putting it in circulation, when it might vanish into thin air when you hand it to a sucker?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Say, I've got it. Here's a gimmick that'll keep us inside the law. We'll duplicate ray guns, blast guns, and other weapons. They're metal, and they'll be a thief turn out by the hundreds.
Yes, but they won't be permanent. Besides, we'd be making and selling weapons without a license. How does that keep us inside the law?
Suppose we sell a coca blaster and it vanishes. Is our customer going to complain to the Space Patrol?
Oh, you've got something. We'll have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, except Corey. If we'd only got rid of him, then we had a chance back at the machine shop.
Are you crazy? Right now, we'd be known murderers instead of suspected jewel thieves. But don't worry. I'll think of a way to get rid of Corey so no one can trace us. Wait. I've got it.
What?
Suppose we take a few grains of poison with a mineral base and duplicate it in our machine. We slip it to Corey. It does its work, and then it vanishes. The best doctor in the solar system couldn't find a trace of it.
Really? It's the perfect crime. There's just one drawback. How do we give it to Corey?
Just leave that to me. I'll attend to it personally after we get to Saturn. Now, to figure out our new identity.
As Buzz and Happy prepare to leave Jupiter, a strange spaceogram message arrives at Jupiter City headquarters, addressed to the commander. Buzz reads it, and then hands it to Happy.
Do you think this is on the level, sir?
Well, the situation being what it is, we'll have to investigate every lead.
But who is this Arnold Block?
He calls himself an amateur lapidary.
What's that?
A lapidary is a man who cuts and polishes precious stones.
And he says he can give you information about these mysterious disappearances.
Yeah. See here, he says, my connections with gem dealers and collectors on all the planets sometimes bring me in touch with sordid matters that usually are best ignored.
Mm-hmm. But when the very livelihood of honest craftsmen is endangered by organized thieves, I must speak out, even at personal risk.
And farther on, he says he's staying at the Hotel Polaris in Saturn City, and he'll give me the details if I meet him tonight.
Saturn? It's a long way to go for a bite to eat.
We'll do on that plane for the next inspection, so it won't be much out of the way to stop at Saturn for a couple of hours. We'll see what Arnold Block knows about this. But just as a precaution, Hap, when we reach Saturn, I want you to put on civilian clothes. While I'm with Block, you sit at another table and keep an eye on things.
Hours later, in a large dining room of the Hotel Polaris in Jupiter City, Commander Corey sits at a secluded table with Arnold Block. Anyone who had known James Kent might notice a faint resemblance, but on second glance, he would observe the greater differences in manner, color of hair, and general appearance. As the commander and Block converse over their meal, Cadet Happy, in civilian clothes, watches unobtrusively from the table across the room.
Mr. Block, you say the next job this family is on the Apex Jewelry Company in Venus City. Now, how do you know that gives me Commander? I didn't mean to say the next job. I'm sorry. I should have said it's one of their intended operations. You know who these men are? Could you identify them? Well, that would be rather difficult. You see, I was examining some Martian... Commander, isn't that the governor of Saturn just sitting up on that table over there?
There's some people in the way just now. Oh, no. Governor said he's a much bigger man.
But, to get back to our subject, Mr. Block. Oh, my. Just noticed the time. Will you excuse me a moment?
to make a space of one call. Important business, and I just can't put it off. Of course, go right ahead. It will only take a minute. Dr. Sidney, can you over and pretend to drop something at the time? Somebody might be watching what I see us talking. Yes, sir. Block that sympathy in your glass when you turn your head a minute ago. I think that means... I'll see everything makes sense for the call. Here, have the call traced at the time. We'll get there.
A few moments later, Arnold Block returns to the table and Buzz resumes the question. The luncheon over, the commander meets Happy in the street outside the hotel.
Block made a call all right, sir. I couldn't face it. He was in a pay booth, and the others were all occupied.
I was afraid that might happen. Don't worry. I'll have the coins removed and examine them for Block's fingerprints. We'll also know the distance of the coin he made. You know the time he made it. I don't know it's down enough so the automatic recorder at Space Event Center can help us.
Yes, but how are you going to tell which fingerprints are Block's?
I can tell you now. Those are this spoon. When I get up from the table, I slip it in my pocket.
What do you think about Block?
I don't know. The information he gave me is pretty general. He's in with what little we know of Kent and Francis.
Hey, how about that milk? You didn't drink any of it, I hope.
No. I left that milk in a potted plant on the block over there from the table. Drink carefully, don't trust me.
Sorry, sir.
Still, no. I managed to slip the glass in my jacket pocket. Doesn't make a very neat drawing, but I'm going to get it to the lab to have it analyzed.
Later that afternoon, in the office reserved for him at Space Patrol headquarters in Jupiter City, Commander Corey checks through a stack of identification cards as Happy enters.
Well, I guess I must have been imagining things, Commander.
What's the report from the lab?
Negative. There was absolutely nothing in that milk, except milk. But still, from where I sat, it looked like Arnold Block deliberately got you to look the other way and dropped something in your glass. Well, I guess he was just reaching for the sugar or something.
Possibly.
Oh, about the phone call. Anything on that, man?
Yes, sir. In a way, it turned out to be simpler than I expected. The Spacephone serviceman had just collected from the coin boxes an hour before, so there weren't very many coins to check. But there were no coins with Arnold Block's fingerprints.
So he didn't make a call after all. So what was he doing in the booth?
Block made a call to Draco City. Spacephone Center's automatic recorder showed it. It was the only call of that kind made from that particular spacephone during the period involved.
Who was the call to? To find out?
A perfectly legitimate call to the Draco Tool Company. They make gem cutting instruments. They're doing some special work for a Mr. Arnold Block.
And Block must be on the level. Hey, wait. How did he make that call without dropping a coin in the slot?
He did drop it. Lifting the register to half-cut coin. That mechanism is proved.
Well, yes, sir. But didn't you say there wasn't any half-credit coin in the machine? Nothing with Block's fingerprint?
That's right.
I don't get it.
I think maybe it'll all clear up when we talk to Mr. Block. I've got an agent watching him. I'll have help me check through these records.
Almost at the edge of the Saturn City spaceport was a metal fence bearing the sign Saturn Salvage Company. At the rear of the lot, scattered with heaps of rusting metal, is a small shed. Inside the structure, Ferris regulates the controls of a machine, while a man in an ill-fitting suit looks on.
It's working fine. I've turned out 3 dozen since this morning.
I'd better knock off for a while, Ferris.
Just one more, Kent.
Don't call me Kent, even when we're alone. Someday you'll make a slip in public.
Sorry, Block. Well, I guess this one is cooked enough. You know, it's hard remembering who you are. Before Kent, it was Drake, and now it's Block.
Well, we shouldn't have any trouble. As Block, I don't look anything like Kent, do I?
No, you don't. It's amazing what scissors, a hair dye job, and a sloppy suit will do to a man.
It's not just in the appearance, Ferris. It's here, in the mind. I think there's a different personality. I walk differently, move differently.
You know? Well, see if you can tell these apart. 2 blast guns. One's the real thing, and the other one is a duplicate.
They're the same. We're the same. They look the same. Which is the duplicate?
The one in your left hand. And it fires just like a real one, too. After the second, it becomes a ghost and vanishes.
I'll put them here with the others. Before we try to unload any of these weapons, we've got to know just how long they'll exist as matter.
That's what I'm doing now. See those figures on the bench where the guns are? When I pull one of them out of the duplicator, I mark down the time.
We'll set up a real system when we get to Neptune. We'll get a bunch of orders, then unload fast and disappear before our product does.
Yeah. Oh, have you heard anything about Corey?
No. He looked fine during lunch.
You know, those Space Patrol medics will have a real embarrassing mystery on their hands. What happened to Commander Torres? And it's talking. As I was saying, the Jupiter Giants don't have a chance against the Pluto Demons. Not with Edlinger pitching. And
all right, both of you, get your hands up. Hold it, Ferris. You heard the commander.
Wait on that table, Kent. Let's see those hands in the air.
You sure you have the right man?
Hand, block, whatever it is. Now move out here and move fast.
Sure.
This is a blaster, Corey. Now drop that ray gun.
Don't be a fool, Kent. You're through.
Yeah? You've got a ray gun. I've got a blaster. If you fire, so will I. We'll both drop. But I'll be able to get up again.
He's right, Commander.
The cadet's got sense. Now toss those ray guns down, and Ferris and I will be on our way.
You're not going anywhere.
Corey, I haven't got time to play games. This is your last chance. I'm going to squeeze the trigger and blast you.
Commander, his gun vanished.
That's what I was waiting for.
Keep out of it, Ferris.
All right, Kent. You want some more, or do you want to quit while you're losing? Now get up. Cap, I'll watch you. You scoop up those blasters. It's your fault, Ferris. If I'd had a real gun instead of one of those duplicates...
What do you mean my fault? You were the one who...
All right, cut it out, both of you. Okay, Corey. Where did I slip up? Was it the disguise as blocked?
No, I never had a good look, actually. Kent, you got fired.
And it was the poison in the milk. You saw me drop it in.
No, and it wasn't the gun stealing that finally tracked you in. The thing that made me link Block and Kent was a simple, everyday spaceophone call to Draco City.
What are you talking about? I made that as Block.
Yeah. But for a big-time crook, you're pretty cheap. You used a disappearing half-credit coin. When you gypped the company on that spaceophone call, we, got your number. Ha, 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 ha.
An exciting action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment. Space Patrollers, you all know what sound effects are. You hear them all the time on your radios. But listen to these musical sound effects and see if you can guess what we're doing with Rice Checks and Wheat Checks. Yep, Space Patrollers, that's a big bowl filling up with Rice Checks or Wheat Checks. Man, oh man, it even sounds delicious. It tastes better yet. Those triple oven toasted biscuits are tops for taste. Now we're pouring on the cream. Listen, you can almost hear those crisp, crunchy checks filling up with that cream. And then for the first bite. Wow, what a bite! Sized just right, because checks are made of that modern bite-sized design. Makes them tops for size. Hey, that's you blasting off for a big day of action. After a good nourishing breakfast with checks, the cereal's tops for get up and go. So, gang, go get Rice Checks today. Get Wheat Checks, too, the official bite-sized cereals of the Space Patrol. In the red and white checkerboard package, with the picture of Commander Corey or Cadet Happy on the outside. Rice Checks, Wheat Checks. And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy are walking through a warehouse at the Terra spaceport where two suspected criminals are standing by the controls of a loading crane.
That's his anchor, all right, Commander.
Yes, I'm going to just how much of that cargo up there on the crane is stolen.
Probably plenty of it. Uh-oh, he sees us.
Just a minute, Vancar.
Lieutenant, release that holding brake and drop the load down there. Look out, Hap. Move!
Be sure to join us next week for the thrilling story, Formula for Crime, when Rice Checks and Wheat Checks again present Space Patrol. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Bela Kovacs, Norman Jelly, Ken Mayer, and Stephen Robertson. Dick Tufeld speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday when Rice Checks and Wheat Checks present exciting action on Space Patrol. This program is broadcast for armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.